I'm not sure why the music's still playing. Okay. What's going on here? I'm not sure why the music's still playing. Okay. Oh, I know why. Wow, what a great way to start a fucking stream, everybody. I had this basically in the background and had that on purpose, but wanted it to be muted so I could just test to make sure everything was all right. And led to a very interesting and awkward beginning. What's going on, everybody? Whether you're here live with us now or if you happen to be tuning in later, I hope you are having a fantastic evening or morning or afternoon. I never know what to say because it could always be anything. But since we got that ridiculously weird beginning out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right onto what we're here for. Guys, this is a Star Wars focused discussion, and I'm happy to say it's not just me rambling to the screen by myself. I happen to have over here, let me put this up. Boom, 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 boom. What's up, Anthony?
What's up, man? What's up, everybody? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm very happy to see you. I am super stoked that you had availability to do this, and I'm ready to talk some Star Wars with you.
All right. Now, I've never seen a Star Wars, so
they are rare. We don't come across them a lot, and I only know so much about them myself. I thought this would be a good learning experience for both of us.
All right.
Well,
it's the Kirk, right? It's the no.
Is it Kirk or is it oh gosh, I lose track of him sometimes. I think it's Neo. Yeah.
I think we're losing viewers right now.
Yeah, that's right. They're just like, oh my god, already. This is ridiculous.
Fucking say something about Boba Fett.
Okay, yeah. Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Okay, so just wanted to give everybody a quick heads up that this will be a very Star Wars centrally focused discussion. So in other words, I am more than happy to see that we've got some people with us already. Feel free to comment away with whatever you'd like, but please understand, I will be focusing and narrowing this down to Star Wars related questions. I'll have some questions of myself to throw up there, so feel free in the chat if you want to throw some answers in. We'll go ahead and make sure to read aloud, get everybody involved. But otherwise, just want to make sure we stay on topic. And I only say that because if you're familiar with myself and Anthony and our Cinema Squad brothers and how we shoot the shit, that tends to go all over the place. But that's what it's supposed to do. All right, so really, I just wanted to kick off with, hey, Book of Boba Fett is the main thing going on with Star Wars at the moment. However, I am purposely actually going to hold off on that a little bit. So if you are interested to hear our thoughts, stick around, go through these string of questions here first, get some chat started up, and by all means, I feel like we could circle back around to that towards the end there. So, Anthony, first and foremost, let's just go ahead and start off with, I'm just going to jump right into it, man. Not even going to try and start to give some cheesy intro or anything. I've got some questions here, and I want to go ahead and start off with this one. So for yourself, myself, as well as anybody in the chat, right, we're going ahead, we're jumping right into it. Original trilogy, prequels, or sequels? There is no wrong answer here. Although we may have our favorites and everything, there is truly nothing that is a bad choice. But Anthony, what would you go with, man? Out of all the trilogies, which do you think takes the cake?
Oh, it's an easy one for me. It's the original trilogy. I'm going to stay away from jokes. I'm not even saying anything about Jar Jar or Rey. I'm just going to say original trilogy. That's it. But I don't hate anything on the other side. I'd like to add that. You know what I mean? I'm not a prequel hater. I'm not a sequel hater per se. But yeah, original trilogy all the way.
Very nice. I'm right there with you. I mean, it's one of those where I'm not going to lie. This is more of a change of heart that I've had over time. And I only say that because I grew up with the prequels. So I remember going to see Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith in theaters, being, a kid, getting all stoked about it and everything. So I started off very much like prequels all day. And I still have so much love for them. But at the end of the day, I got to hand it to the original trilogy. And it is so far and beyond, without trying to be overly opinion-based here, because it's all opinion-based. But I just think it's really well-constructed and just so well put together, each movie by itself, and then all together the trilogy.
We arguably could have never gotten prequels or sequels, and they'd still hold up. I mean, they held up fine for years, but yeah.
It's true. It is true. I'm going to go ahead and see as far as in the chat. We got some comments. I'm going to see if I can filter through. We got some people saying hi, and then maybe we've got some answers to this here. So it looks like we got The View with Drew is with us. What's going on, man? Dan was stopping by and getting a kick out of my absurd and unprofessional intro. Just, I am so fucking prepared. That's clearly what this is, right? I'm just, I can tell. Anthony, the F-bomb caught you off guard. Wow. So let's see.
Man. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. You're too kind. I love this too. There is a stream that if you haven't gotten a chance to check out, there is Patrick's channel, Have Cheetah Will View, and Anthony was just a guest over there. Very good discussion between the two of them. Super interesting. And I do like how that you threw this out there towards the end of Time to Shoot the Sith.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure I stole that from somewhere. I'm not sure.
I'm going to give you all the credit. I will fight somebody.
And I'm just going to take all the credit.
We got Katie from Popping the Popcorn in here saying what's up to
Katie.
us. And John as well. How can I get guys like Anthony? It's impossible, John, unless you're Anthony.
It's going to take
all right, so again, aside from the hellos and everything, and hopefully we got some more people stopping by shortly, but we also got some answers to this, and I'm going to kick it off with quite possibly the funniest answer I think that is in here. So forget the trilogies. John is saying that his favorite is the Christmas special. If you don't know what John's referring to, you're probably doing yourself a favor. Ignorance is bliss. Have you seen the Christmas special, Anthony?
It's a rough one. I've only been able to sit through the guys from Mystery Science Theater. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do riff tracks as well. So it's basically the Christmas special, but it's a couple guys just goofing off throughout the whole thing, and riffing on it. Basically, that's the only way I found that thing tolerable. It's interesting because it's Star Wars. It's interesting because it's like a time capsule. There's some interesting actors in there. I mean, but oh my god.
It is.
There's a cool little Boba Fett cartoon.
Yeah, that I like that Boba Fett cartoon. It's only because it's just ridiculous. That's all.
Yeah, it is. It's still ridiculous. It's interesting, but that's a rough one.
It is. It's funny to see how vastly things have changed, right? You see what it was depicted as, and imagine like back then, whoever put that together was like, "This is Boba Fett." Like this is what I'm talking about. And nowadays, just like, oh my god, what is this joke? We do have someone that happens to agree with us as far as the original trilogy. So Katie's throwing that out there for her vote. And I think we have a little bit of clarification on John's end that maybe he's saying in a more serious manner that Battle of Endor all the way. Although we weren't narrowing it down to battle specifically. Hey man, I hear you. That's part of the original trilogy and is one of the most epic scenes of all of Star Wars. I had some things. I was about to start just firing up. We're going to stick it with the Star Wars stuff. We'll stick with the Star Wars stuff. Got D over here with us. Hey. D Boogie Man. What is up, my man? I am so happy you are here with us. And he's got a question for us right away.
Yes.
What's your favorite Star Wars alien?
Ooh, that's a good one. You do that one first. I'm curious.
There's a lot of options.
You do that first while I think.
I've always there's always been something cool about Twi'leks. I think that I've heard people say Twi'leks but Twi'leks, right? With the big looking like they got the not antennas, right? I don't even know what to call those things coming off the top of their head. But it's like they literally have every single color in the rainbow of them. And I always thought that was interesting to see a couple of them in Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, I don't know. There is something unique. They're still human-esque, but alien-like. They're one of the ones up there. I don't know if that's truly the favorite, but that'd be one of the ones.
I think I would go with the Hutts are pretty interesting, and we haven't seen many of them in the original trilogy. We just had Jabba, and we had a little bit of him in the prequels, and that was about it. There were no Hutts in the sequels at all, so I don't know. I think I would go with them. They showed up a lot more in the Clone Wars series. Yes. So that was kind of cool. But there's a lot of fun aliens in Star Wars. It's well populated universe. It's awesome.
I know. I feel like my first initial answer is going to be Wookiees because they're just human dogs.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I'm curious what other people think about that one. So that's a great question.
Definitely is. Also, one more honorable mention I'll throw in just because we're already on it anyway.
Yeah.
What do they call them? Trandosians. So,
Trend.
do you know Bosk?
Okay, yeah. All
Yeah, so
right.
he's one of the bounty hunters that popped up in The Empire Strikes Back when we saw Boba Fett and IG-80. Was it IG-11? No,
Yeah.
IG-88. IG-11 was Mando. But anyway, had all them in there, and yeah, he's like a reptilian but human-like type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty cool. And Jawas too were pretty cool. And now we mentioned we're gonna get on the whole thing with the aliens and Star Wars, but Jawas.
I know, actually, now all of a sudden it's like flooding in, right? You say Jawas, Ewoks, Tusken Raiders.
I was just gonna say when I was if I was a bit younger, I definitely would be going with the Ewoks all the way. Yeah, absolutely. It would be Ewoks. Hey, have you ever? I don't want to go way over, but have you seen the Ewok movies?
No, I haven't.
They're on Disney Plus now, so if you get a chance, that might be a future stream between the two.
Okay, for sure. Be curious, pop a few drinks and see if those are interesting or not.
Back to watch Caravan of Courage.
I'll use this as a segue into the next part as we start to stray away from this question. Do you have more respect or appreciation for Tusken Raiders now with how much we've seen them within Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett so far?
I do. That's a good question too. Yeah, they're really fleshing those characters out. They were just these one-dimensional yelling monstrosities, and now we're getting to learn all about tribes, and we're getting to learn about their culture, and we're getting to learn that there's I don't want to get too much into potential spoiler area, but yeah, we've already, if for anybody watching who's at least seen the first episode of Boba Fett, we've gotten a glimpse of that, but we've seen it in Mandalorian as well too. They've been expanding on Tusken Raiders. I think it's pretty cool. Not necessarily they're not necessarily going to be on my list of favorite aliens, but I like how they fleshed them out. How about you?
Yeah, I never thought I was going to like them, especially after the way they're depicted in Attack of the Clones. I just always had this feeling of like, yo, screw these guys.
They're
like
bad guys, basically. Yeah. Especially in Attack of the Clones. Yeah, they're just nightmares. Yeah.
And so I like how it's been almost just kind of addressed that, well, like with anything else, right? You don't judge a book by its cover. You never know. There's going to be any race or alien or whatever, and there's always going to be good and bad and anywhere in between.
Yeah.
Dan was throwing out an answer for us. So he's saying that the original trilogy back from that first question is probably his top one, though he's throwing in an honorable mention, Rogue One and The Force Awakens in this case. Now, here's the thing. Real quick, I just want to at least point out, although Rogue One is not part of a trilogy, and it's a good point. However, because Rogue One is what leads up directly to, Episode 4, A New Hope, I would think that it's like you could almost just consider it kind of like squeezing into the original trilogy.
Oh, if you were like marathon watching these, I would love to hear about like a person who's never seen any Star Wars movies, and like what would their viewing experience be if they watched like Rogue One and then A New Hope, and that would be pretty cool, right?
Oh,
so, yeah, it definitely fits closer with the original trilogy, though.
There was somebody on YouTube, no idea who, but they put together the clips so that they matched up the very end of Rogue One with the beginning of A New Hope.
Oh, okay. Like a fan edit type thing. I used to be a geek. That's when I started my channel. I was like into that kind of stuff, and I always intended to do my own version of that. Maybe I will one day, but yeah, I love that stuff. It's cool, man. I love that.
Definitely. And then I guess just because it's up here, real quick, thoughts on Force Awakens as far as like good beginning to the sequel trilogy, indifferent about it? Where do you stand?
Oh, for me, I don't know. I love The Force Awakens. I'm a big fan of that movie. I really am. I like it. I mean, was it arguably a bit of like a retread? Yeah, but I mean, it did it well. It had a lot of fun moments. It's tough because now we know where it all leads. So there are certain elements that like I wish had been in there, considering where those movies went. I wish that they'd hinted at certain aspects. I don't want to get into the weeds with it, but yeah, I'm a fan of Force Awakens. How about you?
It is my favorite of the sequel trilogy.
Okay, well that's okay. There we go.
Unfortunately, I feel like it takes a little bit of a downward slope from there.
Fair enough. No, I hear you.
And like you said, it's something that, not to like beat a dead horse, although it's not like we've already talked about it tonight, and it's just on other occasions and everything. Yeah. But yeah, without trying to just straight up hate on them, there's definitely good to be had within the sequels. I just feel like all I'll say, I guess, real quick, leading into the next thing here is I just think that when you watch the sequels consecutively,
Mhm.
you very much can feel and pick up this notion that there wasn't a connective tissued pre-made storyline beforehand.
Mhm.
You can tell and
Yeah.
feel that they were making it up on the spot, especially when you watch it in comparison to either the original trilogy or the prequels, because
Yeah.
those, like, you can genuinely tell this was all planned out and blueprinted before they got started.
And even if George Lucas didn't have every nook and cranny figured out per se, it was still his baby, like no matter what, right? Like maybe he changed a few things along the way. Fair enough, you know. But like, yeah, agreed. Far more, they were way more planned, and you can just see it. Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Got Daisy Ridley doing interviews where she's talking about on set while they're filming Rise of Skywalker, they are still filming the scene in different takes because they have yet to decide who's Rey's parents and stuff. Yeah, I was like, you're
That's rough.
filming. You
Let
need
me
to
ask you
know
a side
that.
question. I know we're gonna have like a million questions to get to. Like, you know how I feel like Clone Wars helped the prequel, help more people get into the prequels and flesh out those characters. Do you think that could happen if they were to do an animated series or something for the set somewhere in a sequel timeline that would help those movies in the same way? Do you think that's possible? That's a really nerdy question, but what the hell? That's what we're here for. This is the nerdiest of nerd things that ever nerded.
No, and it's a very good question, and this all boils down to, I think, a
Edit
perfect.
that out. This isn't live, is it?
Oh shoot! Wait. Hi. No, yeah.
All right, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
say what you were gonna say.
no, all good. I think it really just boils down to, like, right, who's making it. And I know that's an easy answer, but this is specifically why I say that. They did come out with a show called Star Wars Resistance, and
That's Jesus Christ! I completely forgot it existed, and it didn't help much. That
no. But here's the
answers that question.
here's the problem. Star Wars Resistance tried desperately to aim much more towards the child audience, which is definitely okay with an animated series, but they also were focusing very heavily on non-known characters and ones that, I'm sorry, but from the little bit of that I saw, had like no interesting qualities. Like, there was no reason where it's like, I want to watch this character and continue to grow with them. They had BB-8 and Poe, I think, pop up for one episode just to tickle you a little bit and be like, you want to see more, right? But here's the thing, though, man. If it was something like the way that Dave Filoni approaches the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, although that was more so, there was a different team with Bad Batch, but still it was inspired by him. He was part of it to some extent. And then Rebels. Those are perfect examples of, like, if it was handled like that, I do think that they could probably kind of fill some voids or some gaps, if you will, put in some more character development to make people appreciate it more.
I think so too. I think it's possible.
Yeah. I won't rule it out, right? I'm not. I won't. It's so much the point of, like, that could never happen.
Yeah. And then, like, 3 years later, there's this great animated series, and we're replaying this clip, and it's like, let's see, we're wrong on the internet.
Let's see. It looks like temporarily jumping back to that favorite alien question, Dan was asking if Grogu counts, which it seems as though D was confirming indeed it would. And yeah, because the only reason why I could see, Dan, I totally get why you're asking. I think what it boils down to is, like, no one knows what the race of alien that Yoda and Grogu are.
I haven't checked all of the books, but, like, as far as I know, we've only seen 3 of them throughout the movies and the TV shows, right? The one Yaddle, was it?
Yes.
Phantom Menace and Yoda, of course, and then Grogu. So that's it. So we don't have a lot to go on, but
I wonder if that's something where I wonder if they're going to, like,
just Yoda with a wig.
It does very much look like that. You think they're going to reveal, like, what their species is called at some point?
It seems like we're gonna. I would guess so. I don't need to know it, but we'll probably hear it. Hopefully, it's good. If they do it and they reveal it, I hope it's good.
Definitely. Anthony is booked, not one but 2 live streams in one night. I couldn't help but throw this out there quick because, yes, in case you guys were not aware, Anthony is officially a celebrity, and I am humbled to be in his presence.
Oh, jeez.
We do have actually more questions even from the chat here. I'm just going to throw it in real quick too. I have I figured these could be, like, quick ones, right, to fire off with as I slowly start to get back over there. There's 3, and it's just some favorites, right? So this first one I got here. Favorite Jedi. What do you got?
Oh, Luke all the way. Now, I don't even have to think about it. Yeah, for me, yeah, Luke Skywalker.
No,
Yeah.
totally
You?
fair. I go back and forth, and the 2 that I go back and forth between, I would probably say Anakin is my top guy. Although, he turns evil and everything. But dude, when I was younger, I was like growing my hair out, and I was all excited to like look like him and stuff. And I'm excited that he's coming back too. But it's between him and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Okay. Qui-Gon was excellent as well. Yeah, and Obi-Wan too would definitely be. I'd see Obi-Wan being on a lot of people's lists.
Oh yeah. Just way too iconic. And then I don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn. I always wanted to see more of him. I always thought that there'd be something, and I'm going to tie this back into another question I have later for us. I always wanted to see like, hey, what if like Qui-Gon Jinn survived and Obi-Wan was the one that died, and then Qui-Gon took Anakin on and trained him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they ever covered that in like a comic or something, but that would make like a great sort of alternate universe type of story. Yeah, fascinating, man. Yeah.
There was a point, how you brought up when you were starting your channel, it was very much Star Wars fan edits and everything.
Yeah.
When I started my channel, it was very much just Star Wars theories. And a lot of the stuff I was doing was either one of 2 things. Either, hey, I think this actually has the potential to happen, or how cool would this be type of thing.
Yeah.
And I still actually have, there's a folder in my phone that has like some of the ideas I was going to do. One of them is, what if Qui-Gon went on to train Anakin? And I think I had even had like an offshoot idea where I was like, what if Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan both died and then Mace Windu trained Anakin?
Oh my God. See, that makes for an awesome story. Now, and if we just change all the character names, we could just have a whole different movie right there.
I know. It's very true. And we just took a heavy inspiration from
basically.
Well, all right. And then I will say this real quick before I jump away. Honorable mention for Jedi, Plo Koon. Always thought that dude was a badass.
Yeah. My honorable mention would be Anakin for me, obviously.
Sweet.
Definitely Anakin. Easily.
I'm glad he's up there. Well, if we got favorite Jedi, I think it only makes sense to hop over. Favorite Sith?
Palpatine, easily.
Can you, is it too much to ask? I hate putting you on the spot. Can you do the Palpatine voice?
Can I do it? Yes, I can.
For any
terrible Palpatine voice.
I love it so much, though. For anyone that hasn't seen yet, check out. It's on my channel. It was Anthony's idea. I give him so much credit for it. There is a little skit that she won. If you happen to be checking this out at any point, hope you're doing well. I know the hubby's sick, so I hope he gets well better. But also thank you very much, because she did the animation for Anthony's legendary Palpatine voice there, and I basically just looked like bully Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man 3, but that was my poor man's Luke Skywalker for the video.
That should be a whole series. We should hit up She-Wine. It could be.
Yeah, it really could be, man. Let's see. As far as favorite Sith for myself.
Yeah.
I think like I can never get enough Vader.
Okay.
But at the same time, this is another one where it's like I go back and forth. So I know it's a bit of a cop-out answer because I'm not choosing one specifically. But if there's anyone that's close to Vader, I love me some Darth Maul.
Yeah. Such an awesome character.
Especially the way he's been fleshed out in Clone Wars and Rebels. If you happen to be a fan of Darth Maul and you have not given the animated shows a fair chance because, it's you don't know what are these kid shows? Are they worth watching? Is it even anything important Star Wars related? Yes. I think to all the things I just said.
Yeah.
Unless the first one sounds like a negative. But the whole point is there's some really great Darth Maul character development and continuation of his storyline, which if confused as to how he's even involved, then watch the show and you'll see how he comes back.
And he had a great reintroduction. And even Savage Opress, his brother, was a very interesting character. And I'll ask you one question that see, it's spoilery though. I don't know, like Rebel. Well, he pops up again at Rebels, and
I said that technically already.
Okay. So I'll just mention. Would you have rather have seen that character's conclusion in live action?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. Do you
100%.
do you think they blew it by
Yes,
yeah?
I really do. And here's the thing: I
And it
don't
was
think
good. It was still a good story, but in live action,
Mhm.
and
it
maybe a younger Obi-Wan, but it is
would have
what it
been perfect for like the Kenobi show if they could have somehow pulled that off. Um, Yeah, I don't think at the time it was a mistake because that's just all they were doing. It's like there was just the movies and then just those shows. There was none of this. Let's make a Disney Plus series. Disney Plus
is.
wasn't even a thing when they were
Yeah.
doing that. So for the time, it's like I give them credit where it's due because yeah, that was totally badass. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a really good storyline. They really executed it well. I think it's a bit short or abrupt, but
Yeah.
nonetheless
Fair enough.
epic, epic for sure. But yeah, especially given the fact that they had him pop up at the end of the Solo movie, and
Yeah.
then also that this is totally take it with a grain of salt, but there seems to be some speculation that Kira, so the
Yeah.
girl that Maul was like going to take on as
Mhm.
like his apprentice or something, I have no idea. At the end
Yeah.
of Solo, there are heavy rumors that Kira and Crimson Dawn are going to be involved in Book of Boba Fett.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. That sounds awesome, though. That
And
does sound awesome. And Kira showed up again in the comic books years later. So yeah.
it's true. And but here's the thing though, to wrap it back around the mall and in the whole missed opportunity part, right? That would have been another perfect chance. Just have him pop up in there. Yeah, he'd be old as shit, but so what? Still be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Last favorite that I had before I'll jump back into some comments. Thought this was a bit of a different one. And D did a good job by saying the favorite alien species because that was actually I was going back and forth on, so I was really happy to see that pop up. But I also got this here. Favorite droid.
Wow, favorite droid. Geez, I feel bad. I guess I'm gonna go with original trilogy across the board here because or if I say R2D2, I think I'm gonna lean toward R2D2. But hey, he's in all the movies, so there you go. He's in the sequels and the prequels. So.
It's true. One R2D2 is like it's so cool how he can't talk and yet he has so much personality, which is
Yeah.
actually a reason why for my pick that I'll mention here. But like I just love how like you would think by looking at it and understanding what the character is that it's just a droid that beeps and boops. Like how interesting could it be? And it is amazing how they've made him such a beloved character that like you are happy that he's been around for all of the trilogies.
Yes. Like had they blown up the character, I think it would have gotten a terrible reaction.
No.
C-3PO, but R2, no, you leave R2D2 alone.
Plus, R2 is always there to save the day, man. As far as like in the like, especially for C-3PO's case, C-3PO would have been obliterated time and over again if it wasn't for R2D2.
Yeah. Exactly.
Favorite droid for myself, I have to definitely chop it up to. I said that on purpose. Chopper, Rebels.
Hey, talk about personality. That character grew on me. He did. He really did. Maybe at first I was like, I mean, that show again was maybe geared toward a younger audience. Fair enough, right? But I don't know. I dig that character, and she had a little quick cameo in Rogue One, I believe, right? Chopper.
If I'm not mistaken, yes. I wish that they actually made him maybe like do something. But I believe he pops up
right.
there.
I think like yeah, true.
With him, I never realized this. I thought this was really cool. He's voiced by Dave Filoni.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought that was like an interesting little tidbit in there. And then I just love the fact that like how we were saying, right? He's got such an attitude on him, and specifically that like you can almost make out what he's saying. I feel like Chopper is the like what the equivalent of Kenny from South Park is for Star Wars. Because Chopper is just, like like, and there's times you can make out what he's saying, and there's one part. If you don't believe me, it's another thing you could look up on the wonderful YouTube here. There's a part where you can distinctly make out Chopper saying, "What the fuck?"
Oh,
it's
great. I have to look that up.
It is great, right? It's just muffled enough to sound like a droid beeps and boops or whatever the heck is, you'd call that, but it's great. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and now slightly transition this back in because it looks like we've got another, if I'm not mistaken, couple of questions within the chat here. Okay. And another one coming from D for us. He's asking just what our favorite Star Wars planet is. And he's given a couple examples, which appreciate him, my man. Naboo, Tatooine, Manan. Ooh, okay. Kashyyyk. What do you think, man? I don't
My God, you know what? Do you want to go first on this?
So, okay,
I think I know.
probably Kashyyyk. Because I always like, not like I'm a big camper or anything, but I like, like a very natural woodsy, looking like, and plus just full of Wookiees. So that seems like it'd be a really dope place to be. And then on the opposite end of this sounds so ridiculous, but I love the rain so much. So I think Camino would be cool to visit, but I'd be worried that I would just die. Like
Okay.
it seems like you just would, like, one wrong step and you're gonna fall and drown.
Yeah. True. True. For me, I think I'm gonna go with Coruscant. I think I'm gonna go with that, and I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Coruscant?
Yes, Coruscant. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go with that, even though it's my favorite. I don't know how to say it. That's kind of weird, but yeah, man, no, that's I love that, and I love that. That's another one that was expanded a lot, right? In the Clone Wars cartoons, where we get to see different levels and different, and there was a video game that was supposed to come out, I believe, and it didn't happen. But that would be my favorite. I love everything about that. That's another one I wish we would have revisited, in the sequels. I see no reason why not go back there, but it is what it is. So that would be my favorite, I'd say.
Yeah, there was that game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like in heavy development. Or no, it
Yeah,
was no, it was. I'm sorry, it was a show.
it was a
Or was it a?
show.
Yeah, no, it was. I could swear, but there was a game that was going to be. There was a
It-
bounty hunter game that people believed it was
yeah,
either Mandalorian or Boba Fett they were going to
it was
do.
like on its way, and
But
yeah.
then on the flip side, though, there was a show, and it was like the title of it was some numbers, and it was going to be focused heavily on the underground crime world of
Yeah.
Coruscant.
And that's the stuff that I find that stuff like really interesting. And it's a planet that's like a massive city. That's a pretty cool futuristic concept. I love that.
It gives me I know this is like a weird stretch or maybe analogy for it, but it gives me vibes of like Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, there you go. Or anything like that. Exactly. Yeah, that's always cool. Or Jetsons, even to take it back to like cartoon days, all right? Yeah, you can't go wrong with flying cars all over the place. It's like I'm an oldie guy, so it's what I imagine the year 2000 would look like. It doesn't. And 2022 is even worse. So anyway,
It is unfortunately, but we're still at the beginning of it, so we'll see.
yeah, let's stay positive.
Fingers crossed. Man of movies, do you guys prefer the Force to be a mystical element that binds and surrounds us all, or would you have been open to a better Midichlorian explanation?
You know what? I used to hate the whole midichlorian thing. Now I'm like, I'm fine with it. Maybe I'm indifferent toward it. I see the purpose for it. I'm okay with it. I prefer the mystical element to answer John's question. How about you?
Personally, I don't see why it can't be a mixture of both.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is maybe yes, it is a mystical element, but because of the technology involved in that universe, perhaps they have some sort of way to gauge the level of that mystical element.
Yeah.
So really all I mean by that is I think we could easily still just be like, yep, look, the Force is in and around everybody, like they all say, the whole thing that binds and surrounds us. With that being said, clearly some people have more, I don't know if you would say more of the Force within them, or
Yeah.
just more of an open possibility to use the Force. And I think that maybe you could just say, hey, we all have it, but some people seem to have a stronger connection. And maybe just Midichlorians are, the term they would use to establish how much of a connection you have. And if that's the case, which is really what it was,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not against that. Like I said, I think a combo would be good.
Yeah. Good question.
It was definitely. Katie was throwing out that Tatooine is her favorite, and it's definitely it gives me such heavy vibes of Dune.
Yeah. Well, a lot was taken from there, fair enough. But no, and I love how they've been expanding on it in Mandalorian and now in Boba Fett. There does seem to be a lot more going on that planet than we originally ever thought. In A New Hope, where it was just this desolate backwater nothing. And then in 97, we got some cool CGI additions, and now we have whole tribes of. I'm not complaining. It sounds like I'm going off and ranting. I love Tatooine too. Yeah, but I do want to make the comment. It does seem a lot more lively nowadays than it did when I was a kid, and it was just the boring desert.
Yeah, they do seem to do a good job. They do make it appear though that like even though we are in an area where stuff is going on in the desert, that like all in all, there's a like a large stretch in between things. You know, and it doesn't seem like you got a neighbor that's just like 20 yards away. It's like you gotta walk some miles to find anything.
Yeah. And you might run into some Tuscans along the way and get murdered. So yeah, it seems very dangerous. It seems more dangerous too now. I love it. I think Tatooine is like I'm sort of like being sarcastic and complaining about it, but I love that they've fleshed out that planet a bit more or expanded on it. I guess I should say.
Oh yeah. Well, and it makes me think just real quick to temporarily hop backwards to this Coruscant thing we were mentioning. Man, you know, if they can take a desolate wasteland like Tatooine and make that seem much more interesting and appealing and show some character to that place itself, then you know, imagine everything you could get out of a place like Coruscant. That just seems like options galore.
Yeah. Well, even you know, the Endor. We got to see in the Ewok movies, spoiler alert, but we get to see some monsters and stuff on that planet. We didn't get a lot of time with Ewoks. I guess we shouldn't say we didn't get a lot. So we got half a Return of the Jedi was dedicated to those teddy bears, but it was just them. We didn't get any cool creatures or anything like that, right? So there is more room to do some stuff on even like a planet like Endor, which is, you know, a forest in California, I believe it now.
I gotta say real quick, I love how
it anyway though.
I love how courteous you are that you're like, first of all, you're giving a spoiler warning for the Ewok movies. and then your spoiler is monsters appear.
But I know, but dude, it's like, this is the internet. There's going to be that one person. You know, they just put these movies on Disney Plus. And I didn't know that there was going to be a monster.
You ruined the experience for me, man.
Even though I had subbed you in the first place, I'm going to sub to you, and then I'm unsubbing.
Just to show the spite. D coming through and just giving me some solid info here. He's letting me know. Okay, so not sure how I remember this, but the Twi'lek headtails are called Leku. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's funny. As soon as you say that, I would have never guessed if you didn't mention it, D. So thank you for coming to the rescue. But the only reason why it stands out is because I do remember somebody was just referring to it with Ahsoka. They were referring to her. It
was shorter in the Mandalorian. Is that what it was? And people wanted them to be longer as they appeared in the Clone Wars series. Was that the thing?
Yeah,
something like that.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And really, I mean, I could kind of understand, but I don't know. I was just happy enough to see her in live action and see that she was portrayed so well. And plus, they did it for like a legitimate reason. It's because as far as like filming the action scenes, when they were longer, it got in the way. It was too difficult for them to do that. So it's not like they're so significantly shorter to where it's like she looks like a different character.
Yeah, you know, it's also years later. I mean, I have no idea how that stuff works, but they can be shorter, right?
Yeah, I would think so. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like you could do anything in the realms of a haircut, right? It doesn't seem like you could.
We all change as we get older, you know.
Yeah,
I'm a lot fatter now. That's for sure.
No, 100%.
100% fatter.
Oh, and just for the sake of this, John Thrawn, he brought up the Midichlorians before, and I thought it was nice that he jumped backwards to this episode in season 2 of The Mandalorian. They're infiltrating a Imperial base, and a hologram mentions M count, which is definitely talking about Midichlorians. So in just relaying to the fact that it's still canon. And yeah, you know what? I think maybe that's just a good way of, I'm not trying to say I for sure am right, but maybe that's just kind of proving towards the point that I was saying there, that maybe just both. You know what I mean? Like it depends on how you look at it. Like you could almost say it's like a mixture of, sounds weird, but like religion and science. But let's just say hypothetically speaking, you were able to prove pieces of religion through science. I think that's like what this seems to be.
It almost feels like a rebranding. I don't know. It's like it's the M count now. That's a lot cooler. You know, for midichlorians, it could be taken as that as well. It's sort of like because I mean, M count kind of sounds cooler. Qui-Gon didn't say M count.
It does. It really does. I think it just I don't know. Midichlorian, like I feel like I always think of a swimming pool, like chlorine, and how you put it in there. Whenever I don't know why. Every time I hear that word, it makes me think of it. So anyway, yeah, M count does kind of like flow a little bit better.
Yeah. M count. What's your M count?
M count's over 10,000, bruh.
Nice.
That was more so a cheesy, if anyone knows Dragon Ball Z. His power level's over 10,000! Or I think they say 9,000. I don't know what the hell the number is. It's some in the thousands. Let's see. D saying about his favorite planet. Manaz, one of my favorites, followed by Bespin and Kashyyyk. Yeah. Love that we got Kashyyyk in there. Bespin's a cool place as well. Bespin seems like it's another place, like kind of like Camino. I mean, don't be wrong. I'm sure you got plenty of space to walk before you actually have to worry about falling, but it just seems like you take one wrong step and it's like, you're done for.
Who designed this place? Yeah. So, yeah.
Can we say real quick?
Mad architect.
Who the fuck designed like everything in Star Wars? Nothing has a ledge, like you know what I mean? Like
railings, seatbelts.
Railings. It's just, or I should say, no, everything has a ledge. I'm sorry, the opposite. So it's all ledges. It's nothing but ledges. Is no way to stop you from like potentially falling anywhere. And it doesn't matter where you are, if it's a planet, the Death Star.
It almost works on a weird level because it's like, remember when we were kids and we had our action figures and we had toys, and you'd usually play with your toys on a bed or on a table or something, and everything's basically a cliff, right? So the bad guys always fall off the cliff. It kind of works in a weird way.
A buddy of mine had the absolute greatest answer I could ever imagine with it. Ready? The reason why they don't need railings in Star Wars is because so long as you're in Star Wars and you fall from a high distance, you don't die.
You could get chopped in half.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine.
So that's an example. As far as Emperor Palpatine.
Well, there's a lot of examples.
Exactly, right? Now, does that mean possibly we saw Han Solo fall?
Oh, God.
Right? I mean, he got stabbed.
But he'd have to be stabbed, survive the fall. I think there's fire, and it was like fire and brimstone down there. So he has to survive that, and then everything got blown up. So he has a lot to survive. He'd have to get whisked away. Well, we had some fan fiction going. We'll talk about it after the show.
Yo, they're just gonna bring Harrison Ford back, and we're just gonna see a cyborg Han Solo.
Maybe if you pay him enough, they'll just do it. All right, just bring me back. Pull up the truckload of money in front of my house. Bring me back whatever you want. Hey, wait a minute, my Han Solo sounds a little like Palpatine. That's nuts.
No, he was he had like that grittiness to him. He was like almost like Batman like.
Yeah.
That was good there. I like that. Good. Katie's curious who our favorite character overall, I guess, is from Star Wars.
God, I might just geek out. I'm gonna probably just say Luke Skywalker again on this one.
I know it's so tough to not go with that. Shoot. Yeah, because like a part of me wants to almost say Boba Fett. Like I always had so much love for him, but I don't think I could convince myself to choose a bounty hunter over a Force user. I know,
like or Luke or whatever.
Exactly.
Darth Vader, even, right?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, man, I actually might chalk it up to Luke too. Everything prior to the sequel trilogy, and I only say that because like. Not to debate this, but Luke in the sequels does not feel like my Luke Skywalker, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Hashtag not my Luke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so there we go.
I hear you, man.
I know. I wish it didn't have to be as far as brought up like that, but anyway. This is an interesting one. I'm curious, especially if you've gotten a chance to ever catch up as far as on like a Star Wars novel of any kind. I do definitely have an answer to this. But yeah, do you want me to say mine first?
Because there's only been a few Star Wars novels I've read, and it's been a million years. So I'm actually not gonna have an answer on this one. Not an honest one, because it's gonna be a Star Wars book that I read a million years ago that I barely remember.
For sure.
So yeah, go for it, man. What was your favorite?
So the author is Timothy Zahn, and he actually wrote, it was, I believe, 3 books altogether as part of like a trilogy of stories, and it's referred to as Heir to the Empire. So that is something that, I mean, if you enjoy the character of Grand Admiral Thrawn at all, or if you were ever curious to get more insight into like how he thinks and functions as a person, then you definitely check out those books. It is absolutely fantastic. It's been way too long since I've read them, but they left a great impression on me, and it almost actually even seems the way that they were doing the end of Mandalorian season 2, they were giving heavy vibes of Heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe see some of that in live action there real quick. Let's see. John was thrown out, I think, in regards, to planets. I've always been a big fan of Mandalore. I love the honor and pride of the Mandalorian and the different sects within them. Yeah, man. There is something. It's almost like with and there's a lot of inspiration with like samurai. You know what I mean? Like there's just such a high level of respect and regard for them as characters and what they do and how they compose themselves. I 100% agree. That's part of the reason why Boba Fett is so high up there for me. And we haven't seen as much of him, but I really love Jango Fett a shit ton as well. I'm so happy that the Mandalorian show is showing us even more of them.
Yeah, and we're all hoping to maybe see that, see Mandalore again and cap off that story, right? It's been a while.
Oh, they definitely will. I guarantee. I would put money on the table that season 3 of Mando is him going back to Mandalore. And actually, I'm going to throw out a quick thought here, right? I think that the end of Book of Boba Fett is going to see him kind of like finally get some things established for himself on Tatooine, and then to like, I don't know, keep good relations alive. I think he's going to help out Din Djarin take back over Mandalore. And then, if anything, that like ups his street cred, if you will, right?
Yeah,
now when he goes back to Tatooine, they're like, fuck, he's the dude that helped take over Mandalore.
Yeah. I could see that too. Yeah. Let's hope that sounds like a fun story, man.
Fingers crossed. You never know. Let's see. D's thrown out that the Darth Bane trilogy is impeccable. I also love the anthology books, Tales from Jabba's Place and Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina. There's I gotta say, a lot of books that I'm aware of that I have not got a chance to read. There's so many I'm not aware of that I'm sure are worth reading. It's really funny how there seems to be such a thought of like everything was over after Return of the Jedi and nothing started back up again until The Force Awakens. That's not really true at all. There was a huge period in between that time where they were putting out that's now considered to be Star Wars Legends is what they call it. But
EU to Legends,
exactly. Some of it obviously is a hit or miss, but a lot of really cool, good stuff.
Definitely. And and on that note, like between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, that's a lot of years. So take a character like Luke. A lot of people don't like what happened when I'm in sequel trilogy. All right, but in Mandalorian now we've already seen there's a lot of potential with Luke. Now I don't want to get into the weeds with it, but like maybe an animated series or something like that. There's a lot of room there for people to have more time with that character in his prime as a Jedi. I would love to see that. We'll see what happens, but
it's a good point. I think that they'd be leaning more heavily towards a live action type of thing. But, here's what I got to throw out quick, though. Animated doesn't sound so far out of the question because Mark Hamill is a legend with voice acting work.
Yeah.
And even if he wasn't, he could still just voice the character. But my point is, since he already likes to do voice acting so much, I don't think it would be hard at all to be like, hey, we're going to do this little animated thing and we want you to be Luke. You think you could do that?
Dude, I would love that. The only reason I would prefer live action, of course, but like it's either in that case we'd either get our CGI Luke or it's going to be Sebastian Stan, which actually would be cool. I wouldn't mind that. But the thing is, Luke's going to have to like interact with Han and Leia and a lot of like original trilogy characters. And if this is just animated, you could slip all of those characters in there and do all the stories you want. You don't have to stop and worrying about, oh man, we have to recast Leia now. Oh, we have to recast Lando. We have to recast all these characters. It's animated. You do what the heck you want. You're a lot more free in an animated show. So that's what I would like. That's the only reason I lean toward going animated for a story about Luke set between the Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, because you could do whatever the heck you want and you could have him interacting with a whole bunch of characters and not have to worry about recasting. Yeah, that's really nerdy. That's
without recasting.
I've given a lot of thought to that.
No, but again, man, that's what we want out of this here. Without recasting and without having to worry about digitally de-aging at all, right?
There's more benefits with that. I mean, and we saw that even with Clone Wars. Look at how much they were able to do and accomplish, and they didn't have to bother Natalie Portman to come back and so.
Well, then, Princess Leia was in Rebels. You know,
Yeah,
or,
there you go. Yeah, and again, it wasn't recasting, and we've now we've had years of like animated shows, so people just accept it as canon. It just the characters look different. They're animated here, just as if they're in a novel. You take it as canon, or if they're in a comic book, you take it as canon. And Disney, for the most part, is trying to keep it all tied up and together. I credit them for that.
I think they're starting to get a better hold on it, right?
It hasn't been perfect, that's for sure. There's already been a few things that, if you know, not to go into the weeds, there's already been a few things that have been altered a bit. Like maybe I think in a case of Bad Batch, there was some stuff that there was an event that they covered in a comic book, and when we saw it in Bad Batch, it was tweaked a little bit. So we're already screwing with canon a bit.
It's got to be tough. It really does have to be tough to keep it all in line.
Yeah, story group, get on a job.
Yeah, come on. It's one job. You got one job.
Yeah, one job.
Let's see. What is John throwing out as his favorite character? Because I saw a okay. Just to clarify here, John, you know, when he says yes, both of them. Look, he may refer to himself as different people when he's Vader, and he's like, "I'm not Anakin anymore. I killed him." Yo, you're still Anakin, dude. Like, at the end of the day, you did not like magically change your DNA. You just went from the light side to the dark side. You're still Anakin. But that's just a jokey way of saying, John, good answer there, man. Because, yeah, I consider them both the same person no matter what. And one of the greatest choices you could possibly have there. If it wasn't Luke, I would definitely be saying Anakin and Darth Vader. Ooh, who does Dan like?
Hey,
Kylo Ren.
I love Kylo Ren. It's an awesome character, actually. Let's see what he says.
Definitely is. He thinks he's best of the new characters. I've always loved Yoda, and I like Darth Vader and Darth Maul. Okay, cool. Good choices all around. You know, I want to say, since we were literally just bringing this up, so Kylo Ren, I think the reason why he is such a successful character and was well received is, I'm not trying to say everything from Legends or the extended universe is like golden material. However, there's a lot of really good things that they put in place there. And Han and Leia having kids was still very much a part of Legends. Now, they actually had twins. So there was, and oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the daughter's name, but Jason is the son. And then there was a daughter.
Ben? Was one of the kids named Ben? Or maybe not. I'm a little rough on the EU stuff too.
They had a third kid named. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. Luke has a kid named Ben.
Okay. I guess that makes more sense.
And that's actually why I thought it was kind of funny, because right now the movie basically like made an amalgamation of them, because Ben Solo instead of it in the thing is Ben Skywalker. But anyway, with that being said, basically the story of Kylo Ren is very much what the story of Jason Solo is. And then he eventually, when he turns to the dark side, he becomes Darth Caedus, and it's literally, it doesn't look the same, right? The costume is 100% different, but it is exactly what you would expect. I mean, there's even, if you like Google Darth Caedus, there's certain images where you're like, whoa, someone drew Kylo Ren really cool without his helmet. And so I think that's just a big, it definitely speaks volumes as to, there's a lot of great Legends material. And I think that maybe if they would have been okay, or felt like it was worth the risk to dive into even more of it, that I think the sequels could have even been better and more well received than some people already happen to receive them.
It's a tough one. They ended up dumping all of that, but it does feel like they sort of had to, in order to not be handcuffed to it all. All I'm saying is I kind of get the reason for it, even though I know that that's like a bit of a no-no for hardcore fans of the extended universe, which is now known as Legends. But if they didn't dump that, they'd be handcuffed to it. I don't think that it needed to be that way either. I don't think it's like an either or thing. I think they could have just simply tried to draw more inspiration from it and maybe tweaked it and adjusted along the way, right?
No, I agree.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Katie's got Ahsoka Tano as her choice for the favorite Star Wars character. Love it. Let's see. Dee's got another question for us that I'll say we'll do a quick fire of this one. So, most intriguing Sith character, which I guess, you know, if you find it to be the same answer as before, then feel free.
In this case, I would probably, although I mean Darth Maul would be in there too. Like he's an awesome character. So yeah, I would probably lean toward Palpatine. He's like, you know, I just love the idea that he's pulling the strings for all eternity. But yeah, Darth Maul is also one of my favorites too.
I'd say, just to throw some, you know, like switching up. Exactly, because I'm trying to think of like something different, since it's intriguing as opposed to like just favorite. So I'll go ahead and a little bit maybe outside the box a bit here. I think from as far as like Knights of the Old Republic, Darth Nihilus.
Okay.
is a really, really intriguing Sith character. He's just weird because he like doesn't speak. He's just like I think the explanation behind him is I don't even know if he's actually a person or a body. It's like something about I'm not even gonna try and guess. I'm gonna botch it so bad. But he's a really interesting character. And then also Darth Revan.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Dooku also. I mean, in terms of just intrigue, there seemed like there was a lot of depth to Dooku, and again, yet another character fleshed out a whole lot. That was like tragic. We got to see so little of him, you know, in the prequels. I was a fan of that character.
Definitely, man. I would have loved to have seen Dooku as the apprentice of Yoda, which they
Yes.
mentioned specifically, and I would have loved to see that evolve into when Dooku was Qui-Gon's master.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there, man. I'm hoping for like an animated series even on that era. I think would be fun.
Definitely, man. Oh, hey, I thought this was coincidental.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, all right, sweet.
Great minds.
Oh, wait, so he's from Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords. He is this gives some explanation. He's a wound in the Force whose hunger for Force energy leads him to devour planets.
Okay.
Holy shit. That's something where that's stepping it up a bit of a notch there in comparison to some other Sith characters. John throwing out most intriguing Sith is the OG Darth Vader. Is there any other answer? That's definitely a fair response there. Nassim popping in from a little bit ago. Hope you're still around, babe. But Luke Skywalker, great choice. Great choice, my dear. Oh, boy. Name the best / most interesting costume design of Queen Amidala's in The Phantom Menace. Holy shit, D. Talk about very specific.
Yeah. She had some great looks, though. She had some great looks, and what was it? Ian McKaig, might be butchering the poor guy's name. Might have designed it because I think he designed Darth Maul. And I think he designed a lot of the looks for Queen Amidala. Geez, there's the her look in. Do you remember the trailer for Phantom Menace? And they're zooming in on. There's like a slow zoom in on her, and she's just sitting there and she's poised up. That I think that's my favorite look for the character. The one from the trailer. She's very, regal. And,
is that where it's like this?
I know what you mean. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. It didn't look functional. It didn't look like she maybe would have had been wheeled around, but.
I feel like if she ever had to turn her head really fast, her day would be ruined.
It's falling apart, man. This is no good. Some rubber bands or something up there.
Oh my gosh. Looks like Nassim was throwing out some picks as far as for the Sith Sheev Palpatine. I love that you're using the actual first name of him there, Sheev. If you didn't know. Yeah, right. If you didn't
like that name.
It's something that I'm curious because there's a show. Oh my gosh, what's it called? Acolytes. Okay. There's a Star Wars show called Acolytes that they're in the process of making, and supposedly it's focusing on a young Sheev Palpatine.
Right. That sounds awesome. That's potentially awesome. We'll see. That sounds cool though.
And if they do that, this is my desired fan casting for that. And I say this because there were rumors that he was supposed to be this character in The Rise of Skywalker, and then it just never went through. I don't know how true that is, but nonetheless, I think this guy would fit. Are you familiar with Matt Smith?
Yeah. And I remember the rumors that you're talking about, and that's fine. That'd be awesome. I think that's very fitting. Yeah.
No, yeah. I think that would just be like absolutely phenomenal as far as like casting choice. Also, I know this is totally unrelated, but since it's involving a Star Wars character and it's dealing with like doing old stories of an iconic character, that would just be like good fan casting. Someone posted, and it was like a while ago, that Adam Driver would be a really good young Professor Snape for Harry Potter stuff.
Oh, okay. I guess so. What do you think?
I'd be down. You know what I mean? Like, I think it works enough to where it's like, I could believe that. But I guess it just depends on what they do with it from that point. But the concept, I think he fits. He looks like that would work. Oh, we had some favorite droid choices. Dan had BB-8. John has Chopper. I love it. Katie's got R2, and Nassim has R2. Come on, Dan. No, I'm just joking. Dan, don't worry, I forgive you. Chopper is from the animated show Rebels. And I know that you've already got like probably a lot of the movies to maybe even catch up on or anything. But Dan, I'm not joking, my dude. If you can get around to Rebels at some point in time, I think you will also find Chopper to be one of the best additions to the Star Wars universe.
See, Dan is the reason why I'm giving spoiler alerts as I talk about some of this stuff.
Oh, let's see.
A lot of Star Wars to catch up on, buddy.
Yes, you do. This is great because I actually had this. I just found this to be too coincidental because D threw this question out there. If you had to choose one lightsaber crystal color, which would it be? And he's saying his would be, first of all, fucking love the answers there, and I'll explain why in a moment. So orange or turquoise. And I just thought this was perfect because like I had this set as far as one of my questions too. What would the color of your lightsaber be? So D, love that we're on the same page there, man. And I'm not joking. I probably would be in the range of I always thought orange was really cool as well. So it's not even just take from the answer. That's legitimately what I thought would be a great one. And then blue just like is my favorite color, but I love green as far as with a lightsaber as well. So turquoise being a perfect blend of that would probably be right up my alley. So dare I say, D, I got the same picks.
Yeah, I don't know. I might go with white or orange myself too. Only just to be different. I feel like blue and green. It's like iconic, right? But I don't know. Like I don't know. I that look of orange is just we just have barely seen it. I feel like it's showing up now in like most recent Star Wars comics. I think Luke might have a temporary orange saber or something like that. What color was Rey's saber again at the end? These weren't very memorable. She had a different color. What was it? Was it orange?
No, she ended up with a yellow one.
Yellow. Okay. Okay.
Which I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yellow. Cool.
I would say as some honorable mentions for this category. I think just because they are so distinct, the dark saber. So like just a straight black saber. That thing is badass and very legendary within the Star Wars universe. And then also just like Ahsoka's newest lightsabers and Mandalorian seem to just be like pure white sabers. Yeah. And I think that looks really cool too.
I'm loving that look. Yeah. Anything where like we haven't seen it a lot. It's just I think that's what it is. It's just that it feels fresh, to me.
Exactly. It's funny how like it seems as though it's okay for a Jedi to have like any other colored lightsaber, but like not a Sith. Like Sith, you're stuck with red, man. That's it. That's all we got for you.
Yeah, no, you got to bleed that crystal. It's red, and that's it. It's like, did any of them ever bleed and went wrong? And it's like purpley kind of. What's the next question? What's the next question?
So let's see. Oh, shoot, my buddy John. Okay, so obviously not Man of Movies, John. Totally different. This is a John I know in real life. Thank you for stopping by, bro. I think he was just mentioned as far as with the like favorite droid, so the bounty hunter droid.
One of the IG droids, I guess.
It's got to be one of the IGs because they're like the most famous droid bounty hunters, and I guess it all just boils down to if you're talking about the one from Mandalorian, that's IG-11. And that's probably the one you're referring to because he's like way more memorable. There's also IG-88 from The Empire Strikes Back. He's just the black one that showed up with all the bounty hunters when they were Vader was like, go track down the Falcon.
And he would have had a tough time doing that because I think he was just nailed to the ground in that movie. Why are you still standing here? I told you to go check down. All right, anyway.
Let's see. D throwing out his favorite droid. Good choice, bud. HK-47 from KOTOR. He's an assassin droid whose primary function is to burn holes through meat bags that you wish removed from the galaxy. He's like a deadpan voice, and it's perfect because he's just like he just straight up says, like, would you like me to kill him, master? Like, it's like that type of stuff because he's Revan's like right-hand dude. Good choice. Very good choice, D. That is great. Got some good combo. Ooh, guys, love that there's so much conversation going on here. A little far back. Yes, Nassim, need to finish up Rebels. And yeah, this is actually, I can't, discredit her too much because I'm the one that introduced kind of, or like had her start with Rebels. But yeah, we definitely got to go backwards and check out Clone Wars. Since it all takes place before that. But I think it's not one of those, you don't have to watch one before the other. I think you can have more appreciation for Rebels if you've seen Clone Wars first, but you could still understand it and enjoy it.
I'd say so too. Yeah, yeah.
Well, this is curious. A little bit more outside of the realm of just like the movies and everything. John was thrown out. I have some reservations on Star Wars Land. While it is immersive, it relies too much on the sequel trilogy, which makes sense. And so nostalgia is kind of thrown out the window, but I do like it a lot. Shit, that is, I see exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the luck of being able to visit. Have you been there?
I have not. It
Yeah.
literally is a dream of mine. I've been trying to
Same.
plan a trip way before the whole I don't know why I would call it the pandy. Way before that all started and everything. And it just has not been able to come to fruition, but I literally cannot wait until the day that I get a chance to go there. But yeah, I do see how that would kind of cause some issues because like personally speaking, even just the stormtroopers walking around, like you could tell, oh, you're first order stormtroopers.
Mhm.
It's still badass, still looks cool, but it's like, but you ain't like how we were saying my Luke Skywalker, you're not my stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
you know, if I saw Kylo walking around, that would still be badass for sure. But it's like, where's
Yeah.
Vader though? Like, come on, let Vader walk
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of obvious locations that are just out the window for the prequels, you know, and the original trilogy by just going for this one specific era. What does it take place between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker? So it's even specific to it's that specific. So yeah, no, you're not getting a whole lot there in terms of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Which and that's like so much of Star Wars is nostalgia. We're drowning in it.
It is, man. I feel like it definitely heavily relies on that without a doubt. But maybe not always for like bad reasons, as
Yeah,
long as
maybe
they
it shouldn't. Fair enough. I don't know. I am
uh
Star
we
Wars.
We got John's galore. So another buddy of mine, John, that is has popped by a couple of times for the stream before. So John, first of all, what's up, my man? Hope you're doing well. He always has the most random things thrown in. I don't know if you remember, but there was like one shoot in the shit stream we did where he was just like, it was something
I
about
don't
like
remember any of those.
he threw out where he's just like he said something along the lines of just like I lost my pants, and like that was like the ongoing thing. Like the whole night, he's just like I still can't find my pants, guys.
I do remember that. That's cool. There you go.
Looks like we got someone new joining along. Arnep, at least if I do know you, I apologize because I can't say I'm familiar with the username, but nonetheless, hello and thank you for stopping by. I hope you're doing well.
Hello.
Ooh, John throwing out a good question, man. I'm gonna see what your thoughts are on this first. How hyped are you guys at the prospect of getting the beloved Rebels characters in live action, possibly in Ahsoka? I cannot wait to see Ezra Bridger again. What do you think, man?
Like half of that for me. Like I'm like, oh, it's so good. And then I'm like Ezra Bridge. I'm like, I'm just not much of a fan of Ezra Bridge. Sorry to say. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And no, but this is good. This is good. We can disagree now.
No, hey, yeah, that's
no. You know what? I think that the character grew on me a bit as Rebels went on, but he grated on me. It was just I found him to be a grating character at first. This was just I mean I don't know. Maybe if you love him, you love him. That's cool. But I think he grew on me as the show went on. And I'd be all up for like an older version of that character in live action. I do think there's a ton of potential. That's fine. So yeah, that's my feelings on that one.
No, and that's something where I can't say like I'm just outright against you. I don't get me wrong, I do really like Ezra. But he is a tough to get used to character. Like he's on the verge of annoying quite a bit at the beginning. However, I'll just throw this out there. So is Ahsoka for me. I fucking hated Ahsoka.
A lot of people did at the time. Yeah, the whole thing with Snips and her going back and forth, it was very cutesy. And then, of course, obviously she became a fan favorite, and she you know now she's huge the character. But yeah, she definitely started off on it was rough in the beginning.
No, I mean without a doubt. Oh, I got some clarification here. I'm very happy about this. And then I'll jump backwards real quick as far as to John's comment there, but just wanted to throw out since I saw this real quick as I was scrolling by. Clarification: Jason and Jaina are the twins from Legends or the extended universe, whatever you prefer. The only other thing I'll throw out real quick with this here is like I could not be more excited. I am so stoked to see a live action Thrawn. If I'm not mistaken, what's his name? Mads Mikkelsen.
Right. That sounds awesome. Is that like official? Do you know?
Because he does the voice of Thrawn.
Okay, well then there you go. It feels like I could see them going that way. You know, it didn't happen with Ahsoka per se. We didn't see the voice actors return, We got Rosario Dawson, who was awesome anyway. But so it's not a guarantee. That's all I'm trying to say. But
Exactly.
it feels like a natural fit, though.
Oh yeah, no, it would be absolutely phenomenal. And then aside from Thrawn himself, I mean, yes, Ezra, because right, if you're gonna bring Thrawn back, you're gonna bring Ezra. There's talks, just like how there's talks about Mikkelsen coming in for Thrawn. There seems to be, and take this with a grain of salt, but seems to be some potential confirmation that the kid who played Aladdin in the live action Disney remake is signed on to be live action Ezra.
I remember seeing that. Yeah. Thank you for confirming that for everybody, Jace. We're confirmed now. Confirmed
100%. 100% confirmed. I have a copy of his contract signed by him. No, so here's my only issue with that. I actually think he's a spitting image of Ezra, but the problem is that I think he's a spitting image of Ezra from Rebels, and I don't want to see a young Ezra. That doesn't really make sense to have a young Ezra unless they try to
age him up a little bit. Maybe
right. I wanted a more grizzled, aged Ezra that you could tell he's been out of the picture for a bit.
I mean, he's been blasted to the other side of the friggin' universe, so he'd have to be aged up. He'd have to be grizzled, and he's been through some shit, right? So
I would think
that take on the character. See, that's what I like about that take on the character. Even though maybe he wasn't my favorite in Rebels, I think there's a lot of potential. You have like this long lost Jedi. That's freaking awesome. That's an awesome story waiting to happen. Maybe that's why we haven't seen it just yet. They know they have like a hit there potentially.
That could definitely be. And then also I think it's one of those where I could easily also see them because he and Thrawn, if anyone's not familiar, and sorry, we're going on a rant, so like spoiler alert, we could probably say this whole fucking discussion is a spoiler alert.
Is this gonna be about monsters and Ewoks? No.
It is. They're devastating this game. So with this, the end of Rebels and the last bit that we see of Ezra and Thrawn is that they essentially get transported away, for lack of better terms, on these space whales. That's just what they're referred to as. And space whales are the only creatures that can travel at hyperspeed. So with that being said, and given the fact that the purpose of hyperspeed is to get from one place to another, and it's essentially, I don't want to say it's time traveling, but you could argue it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you're taking a shortcut. Maybe they could try and pull some crazy logic that like they've just been cruising these space whales ever since Rebels, and that and like even though it's been so long for the characters outside of that, it's only been a matter of a little bit for them.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of potential with that story, and I actually like that as a conclusion too, because like the obvious thing was just like in the original trilogy era, you have Luke and he's the last Jedi, you know, and that remains true because we zapped this guy across the universe, so Luke's not getting any help, so it maintains continuity. I love that that's what they did with that character, and now we get to have our cake and eat it too because we could pull him back in and get back to it. Even with like with Luke potentially meeting Ahsoka, oh my god, I can't wait for that. You know what I mean? Because there's so much story potential there. Will we see that? You know, and if we do get to see that, I'd almost rather see that in like live action. But
we'll 100%, like without a doubt. I want to see, even if it's just a small discussion, I want to see Ahsoka tell Luke about Anakin.
Yes,
and like the
kind of thinking about it, right? It's like awesome.
Right? Yeah, dude, shit gives me like goosebumps.
Yeah, man. So I think we'll see that. It almost feels like that's like an obvious thing, right? But I don't know. I feel like it was an obvious thing that we'd get the voice of Qui-Gon at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and you know that didn't quite happen. So we'll see. You know, and again now it feels obvious that we're going to get Qui-Gon hopefully in Obi-Wan.
Yeah. There's at least super duper heavy rumors, and I am so down for it. Love me some Liam Neeson, and then I just bring him back as much as we can, Qui-Gon. I love that they got him to voice Qui-Gon a couple times in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was something. What was I going to jump over to? Lost my spot. Oh, there we go. Okay. I guess last thing is we're jumping away from this comment. Supposedly there's also casting rumors for Sabine Wren. I can't remember the actress's name, but it appears that they have found the person for Sabine as well. So just throw that in the mix. Cool. I think this was in regards to most intriguing sis, so saying like Darth Plagueis. Yes. So I definitely agree. I think Darth Plagueis the Wise is a really cool, interesting tale, and I'll tell you this, man. If that Acolyte show is indeed about a young Sheev Palpatine, 100% there would be a chance then to see a Darth Plagueis appearance in there because that's who his master was. So. Is that a picture behind you? A puzzle? Because I saw a puzzle in Target the other day. It looks exactly the same. No, it is. There may be a puzzle of this picture, but yeah, I got basically. God, I'm doing a horrible job here. There's like just almost every Star Wars character in existence lined up right there. Surprisingly enough, there's a couple that they're missing that I'm pissed off about. Like they don't got Jango Fett in there, and I have no idea why. And then over here got a little Mandalorian poster. Got Vader's helmet up there, and then I will soon be adding to the collection. I got for Christmas, my beautiful and wonderful girlfriend got me a Yoda head to hang up as well.
Nice.
Got a good collection going on there. Gonna basically, it's funny, man. I went from like never thinking I'd put anything on my walls to now it's like I'm gonna fill up my whole wall. Let's see. I'm going to Disney World at the end of January, and I hope to get to ride the Rise of Resistance because last year I couldn't get a reservation for the ride, and I've heard it's like a ride and role play. Man, yeah, that's Man of Movies, as mentioned a couple of different times. That it seems like that ride would like be a life-changing experience for a true Star Wars fan. That's nuts to think that it's like one of those like you got to make a reservation for this and you might not get around to it, you know.
That I don't like, but I mean, who would? That sounds horrible, but the ride itself sounds awesome, and hopefully they get to do it. Hopefully we get to do it. It does sound incredible. The Millennium Falcon too, of course. That sounds like a great little trip, but yeah, man, I have to get to Florida.
I know. I'm dying to go. Well, I'll tell you what, Arnett, I hope that it is. I hope it's a really good trip. And, and for what it's worth, I mean, I think this goes without saying, but based on your comment there, I hope that there's like not even a slight chance that you don't ride that ride. Like, I hope that the reservations are like open doors. You get first selection, ride in the front, be the main character of this role play. I don't know what the whole thing is.
Do all the things.
Hey, the Cinema Squad goes to Disney World. Yo, man, if that happened, the funny thing is it would very much turn into like a business trip. I feel like we would be on vacation, but you know damn well like we would just be all recording the shit out of each other. And like we're making like there's a documentary of this.
That would be awesome, man. It really would.
One day. It's all just we gotta keep that in the mindset there. So you're getting some confirmation as far as from Arnett there. You don't know me. Well, I'll tell you what, then I appreciate all the more you stopping by. Seriously, and nice to meet you. I'm curious if that's the case, then I always love with stuff like this. How'd you happen to come across? Right? Very happy that you did. Are you maybe familiar with Anthony's channel and that happened to bring you by? No matter what the case is, like I said, happy that you're here, but always would be curious about that. See, Katie was saying that she has a lightsaber from Galaxy's Edge, and it's one of the purple ones.
Nice.
Dope.
Yeah.
I love that in regards to purple lightsabers, and the only one that we have seen most infamously, people were like, do you think that Mace Windu's lightsaber is purple because he's like a dark Jedi? He's kind of like almost on the verge of, not a Sith, of course, but like he's not as easygoing as some Jedi seem to be. And that could probably be incorporated into it if you want to like really make more of it than it is.
Like
but it all
universe thing, right?
Exactly. But it all just boils down to Samuel L. Jackson was like, yo, I want a purple lightsaber.
Give that man a purple lightsaber. Yeah, absolutely.
But I love how there wasn't even any like kickback. I love how George Lucas was just like, yes, for sure. I'm definitely going to fulfill that request. Is a blanket you have on a Star Wars one? It is not. I am slacking. I do have the Star Wars shirt. And good old Vader.
Yeah.
Death Star. Some good stuff. Some Death Troopers down there and everything.
Yeah, I got the Boba Fett sweatshirt going here. So there we go.
Nice. Very nice. Oh, that's dope, man. I like that.
Another Christmas gift.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm jealous. The blanket that I got here is my good old Doctor Who blanket, and it's just close by and it's comfy. I should probably get me a Star Wars blankie. Let's see here. What are you two's thoughts on a certain Sith appearance in Solo? Some people love that, while others didn't. Also, was Solo an effective Star Wars film and/or origin story? Huh. Well, we ever so slightly touched on this earlier. But you want to kick it off as far as if you have...
thought that was I love that the inclusion of that character. I don't know if we want to say it or not, but whatever. Anyway, I love the inclusion of that character, and I thought that was great. But again, I think for both of us, since we're both coming from like the Clone Wars series, and we were obviously fans of that, like it didn't confuse us. It was a nice callback, and it was just like. I still take it as like a sign of maybe things to come, like of hopefully like it was a lead into something. I mean, it was probably a lead in to a potential sequel for that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing that's where they were going with that. And then the second part of his question was it in a? I guess so. It was fine. I mean, for me, when I initially heard about that, I was like, I was kind of dead set. I shouldn't say dead set against it, but like I was just like, why? And then it was just like, okay, why are we recasting Harrison Ford? He's the only Han Solo. But then I gave that movie a chance, and I'm gonna be honest, I really liked it. I thought it was a fun movie. It would have been cool to see more of them. If they end up doing a little Disney Plus series, I think that would be very cool. So I was happy with it. It was a pleasant surprise, that movie. It's growing on me, and I'd recommend that one.
I agree, man. I think it got way more hate than it deserved to. I don't think it's a perfect movie. You could tell that they probably did a lot to, given the fact that they literally like shot almost the whole movie and then had to go back and reshoot almost the whole movie, which makes me super interested. Just like how they put out the Snyder cut, it makes me think like, what is the original? Was it Christopher? Oh gosh, I can't think of their names, but it's two guys that were originally going to do it. They did Phil Lord and
was it Lord and Miller?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know.
No, well, in Rogue One too, I don't think it was as bad. But Rogue One too, there was some stuff that was reshot. But that only makes me, as as a Star Wars geek. I mean, we geek out over like just deleted scenes. So imagine an alternate version of a movie.
Right. That would be insane. So
I feel the same way not to go away about Back to the Future too. I'd be curious to see that alternate version.
Oh, well, especially because that has the possibility to probably be like really different.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I'm sure this would have been very different too, but something tells me they would have still been following like kind of a similar path altogether. But yeah, no, that would be interesting, man. Definitely would be interesting. I liked Solo overall. Like I said, I don't think it deserved as much hate. I don't. The one part I am still like kind of torn. Like I give the kid Alden Ehrenreich credit for playing Han Solo, and I'm not against the prospect of if he were to ever come back. Because it's not like, oh gosh, no, I can't stand you. But, it's tough. It is difficult to look at him and say, you're Han Solo. Just because at the end of the day, aside from everybody calling him that and him having the right attire and the same blaster pistol, and he's walking around with Chewbacca and maybe in the Millennium Falcon, but, the face, it's just, there's just no getting around that.
There's no getting around it. And he's very, I just always felt like in terms of the timeline, he's a little close to our New Hope timeline. So it's like, so he's this guy now, and then is it 10 years? Is it 10 years before A New Hope? And now 10 years later, he morphs into this other guy. I mean, Star Wars is weird like that. We get a CGI Luke Skywalker. It seems like they kind of want to stick to these looks. We get a CGI Carrie Fisher, but then we get this movie Solo, and it's like it takes place a few years before A New Hope, but he looks like this, except. Yeah. I did actually, so there you go. So it worked. I mean, for me at least, it worked for me for the most part. But it's like they need to make up their minds on that. Are we, what's weird? Honestly, man, eventually as years go by, everybody's going to get recast. We're going to get new versions of this, and I think we'll be old men, and we'll be like, I don't, recast my guy. It's like, dude, that was 100 years ago, and it's gonna be so eventually it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me. And some of them I'm not completely against. Like probably the newest recast that I'm the most okay with is Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah.
I think he fits so well as that. I think he's a phenomenal young Billy D. Williams. And there is speculation, because they announced the Lando show from a while ago. There is speculation that the show is supposed to be set up in a way where Billy D. Williams is narrating it. And like he's retelling events from his past, and then
that's like the framework of the show. That could work, definitely.
Well, and then like the actual Lando that we'll see is Donald Glover
in action. That makes sense. Yeah.
Which I'd be down for that.
Sounds good. Yeah.
This is really interesting. I'm gonna read through. There's like a couple more comments that I'll fire through, and then I literally had like a couple of ending things that I figure we'll just like write some final stuff to close this out here. John was throwing in that Ezra is the same age as Luke, which is news to me. I did not realize that was the case, actually.
It's funny, like when you like with the Star Wars timeline, I always find myself just stopping the process. You know that meme of the girl and the things that appear, the numbers that appear. Revenge of the Sith.
Carry the four.
I'm gonna take John's word for it.
I don't have enough resources at the moment in front of me to be able to say anything against that. So hey, that's really interesting, man, for sure. Arnett was saying that I wanted to talk about Star Wars, so I typed in Star Wars, put the live stream filter on, and now I'm here. That's
Nice.
fantastic.
Right. Happy to have you.
Yeah, seriously. I love that able to that it not just filtered it down for you, but filtered you directly here. That is phenomenal. And
Nice.
anything, genuinely speaking, man, if you find out that, or if you happen to find that it's you like the conversation, feel free. You know, this is definitely not the only Star Wars related thing that we'll have discussion wise, and feel free to check out as far as both of the channels. I know it's I'm like obligated to say that, right? What would we expect? But hey, if you're already here, why not?
Yeah.
And he has a question real quick where he's just saying the Bad Batch is the only thing that he hasn't watched yet. Is it worth it? And I actually think this is really good because there's only, besides this one comment, there's maybe one or two other things I put up there. But this is perfect because I happen to have this.
Bad Batch thoughts.
Yeah. So, right, just in general, I'll start it off with something real quick where I would just say that, you know, if as a direct answer to your question, yes, Bad Batch is absolutely worth watching. You know, does it have maybe slower, duller moments in comparison to certain episodes, or, you know, the beginning and the end? Of course. But all in all, it is such a great established piece of Star Wars history that I don't think you would really immediately think of with just an animated show, because it shows phenomenally how the Galactic Republic starts to morph into the Galactic Empire, and it also shows the transition from stormtroopers, from clone troopers to stormtroopers, and why the Empire decided to eventually stop using clones. It's really, just from that part alone, I think is really interesting. And then the actual members of the Bad Batch are really cool characters. What do you think, Anthony? How'd you feel about Bad Batch?
I'm glad to hear you feel exactly the same way about the show as I do. I love that show a lot more than I thought I would. I highly recommend it. I'll try to refrain from spoilers, but yeah, there were some fun surprises in there. Let's just say that. There were some cool surprises in there that happened, but it also I think it stands on its own. It doesn't necessarily lean on too many, you know, original trilogy elements or prequel elements or any of this other stuff. I think it stands on its own. The characters first popped up at the end of the when they brought Clone Wars back recently. They had their own little arc there. We didn't know it was a backdoor pilot, but hey, it was. And then, I mean, again, sort of like when I heard about Solo, I was just like, you're recasting. Why do we need this movie? And then I ended up liking it. I was sort of the same way with Bad Batch. I was like, really, those characters from that arc? I wasn't in love with that arc. I didn't hate it, but I was just like, and then that show came and it came on. And I gave it a chance, and they knocked it out of the park. I'm a fan of that show. I can't wait for season 2. And I know originally we were supposed to, that was our thing, right? This came together because I wanted to talk about Bad Batch with you, and I had to wait about 9 months. No, I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time, 9 years.
Yeah, for
long time. That's originally what this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a Bad Batch discussion. It took a little while. That's okay. We could still get into it, and now it's cool because we've had time to even reflect on it. Man, they pulled that show together. They really did. They did a nice job on it, and it serves as a great follow up for the Clone Wars series, which already had closure. But now there's more, and there's a lot more. And like you mentioned, I love this stuff. I'll shut up in a minute.
No,
they're making the transition between clone troopers and the stormtroopers, and I love that. That's like a bumpy ride. That's an interesting dynamic, man. We never. That's fresh. That's fresh territory, too. Like we haven't really seen that. Well, if it's shown up in a comic or Legends or something, fair enough. But I haven't. I'm not familiar with it, so I'm loving it so far, and I can't wait for the show to come back.
No, yeah, I have not been privy to any storylines that cover that specifically. So, dude, I could not agree more. It was worded really well. It's amazing how they can take an element that you would think there's nothing more to be explored here. We've seen so much of this already. How could we possibly have anything else to look into? But that has never really been touched on. I think there may be comics that start to dive into it a little bit, but not.
There's so many years there that I feel like they would have touched on it maybe, but fair enough. Now we're getting a series about it.
Exactly. And to see, right, the way that it's executed, like you said, a bumpy ride, right? It wasn't some smooth transition. Everyone wasn't cool with it. It is super intense to see that go down the way that it did. And you know, it just kind of makes you curious. It's like, oh shoot, I never even thought about the fact of, yeah, what the fuck, what happened to the clones?
Yeah.
They all just
Yeah.
die? You know, so
yeah, there's some good stuff, and it's not even just. I mean, that's like that's just one of the ongoing stories that's in there. I mean, other than that, it's also like there's a lot we're focusing on this little ensemble cast, right? So there's a lot to like in that show, man. I'm a fan. They made a fan of me.
and if, by the way, if you are watching this and you have not gotten a chance to appreciate the thumbnail as much as you could or should, take a quick look, because the Bad Batch members on the thumbnail, Anthony has done a phenomenal job of superimposing my face onto each of the Bad Batch members.
You know what I was thinking of though? I missed one. Omega.
Okay, that's oh gosh. I don't even know if I want to see my face on Omega's body. Well, I'll tell you what.
Send it over to you.
I'm actually very glad. Yeah, dude, if anything, do it just for a good laugh. This is perfect. This is very perfect because it transitions beautifully into the last thing that I'll bring up about Bad Batch real quick, and that is, you know, like we brought up, right, without diving into any sort of spoilers of who this character really is, for lack of better terms, I want to go ahead and ask, based on what you know since you've seen the show, do you think that there's any sort of possibility of seeing Omega in the book of Boba Fett?
Geez, I don't ever rule anything out. So yeah, maybe, but probably not. I feel like they have their plate full with a lot of stuff going on right now. But I mean, after the end of the Mandalorian season 2, it's like I feel like we can't rule anything out anymore in terms of surprise appearances of characters, right? But I feel like a character like that, if they bring her in, it's going to demand, or at least it should demand a lot of screen time.
Yes.
And they're already with the, not to get into, I guess, about Boba Fett too much just yet, but they already seem like they have a lot of things on their plate in terms of what they want to cover. And I think it's only do you know how many episodes it is? Isn't it only like 6 episodes?
7.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know, we're going up to 3 now after, you know, going into next week at the time of this recording.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And to try and cram too much in, you don't want to see them try to overdo it. But you know, you never know as far as if it's going to expand out into another season type of thing.
Yeah.
I just feel like based on what they have revealed, and maybe that in itself is kind of hinting too much at something, but I feel like with what they've revealed about Omega, it almost seems like a wildly missed opportunity if they never show any interaction between Boba and Omega.
Yeah. I'd say so too. Do you think maybe an Easter egg, like leading into a potential season 2, so are you saying that you think she'll show up, or are you just saying that you don't think she'll show up, but it would be a wasted opportunity? That this is going to be a wasted opportunity.
I think that she could. I think she could show up, but I do agree with you that I think maybe they've already got enough kind of set in line for season 1 that, again, if they are looking to do a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, that potentially like an after credit stinger or something could be Omega popping up. Because I think that it's interesting with, you know, as we maybe slowly start to make our transition to Book of Boba Fett here, I think one of the most interesting parts about that show is fleshing him out as a character and seeing some of his personal traumas and the fact of like what's haunting him as a person. And I can only imagine how much that would be affected further if and when he finds out the identity of Omega.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun story there to explore. I guess maybe the only thing that would come out of it is that if we see her as an adult and she's established, then we'll know she survives Bad Batch. And you know, as of right now, all of those characters are up in the air. Like how far? I mean, but then again, I mean, even with a character like Ahsoka, for a lot of years, people were like, "Oh, Ahsoka's gonna die. Ahsoka's gonna die," and she's got her TV series now, and she's firmly in the you know, original trilogy timeline, or beyond it, like 5 years later in the Mandalorian timeline. So they, you know, they have a knack for keeping characters alive that you wouldn't think about otherwise.
Well, and here's the craziest part, and this is where I can't help but throw it in. You gave me the perfect layup, so I'm sorry in advance. This is probably out of all the spoilers. I don't want to say this is the biggest spoiler, but this is a spoiler for the show Rebels, if anyone hasn't gotten a chance to see it. But my very first video talks about the potential possibility of an alternate Star Wars universe. And essentially, the reason I feel that way is because, I already gave the spoiler warning. So if you're still here, I'm sorry. Ahsoka dies in Rebels. She fights Vader and dies. Vader doesn't kill her, but in the setting of the battle, it's very clear that that's her end. Then, in season 4, when Ezra goes to that trippy ass world between worlds where there's just like all these portals to different moments in time, I guess.
Yeah.
And he goes up to the one, he sees that battle where Ahsoka's fighting Vader and where she's about to meet her demise, and he yanks her out of that particular battle. So I won't go into a whole crazy thing. We can definitely divert this back to the original discussion here. But I'm telling you, man, I am stuck on the theory that them doing that is a way for them to properly excuse, hey, you know that timeline that Ahsoka did die? That's the timeline that becomes episode 7, 8, and 9 with Rey and Finn and Poe. But this other timeline, this one where Ezra pulled her out, that we're following in The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka show, and so on and so forth with the new Disney Plus stuff, I feel like that's a way for them to start going in a different direction. And it doesn't mean that they're wiping the sequel trilogy away from existence, right? Like they're not.
You have your cake and eat it too. I think in that case, it's with the new Star Trek movies, there was a similar thing, where they did a reboot, but it's like it feels like that. But I like that. That's an awesome idea, and yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting thought.
It's gonna piss some people
there to use, but can't overuse it.
True. And it seems, I guess, like maybe not as fitting for
that
Star
would be
Wars,
the way, though, man.
But
that
it
would be the way, or at least a way.
This is the way. It is, man. It's totally the way. It's.
I love fan theories and alternate things. It's fascinating. I mean, we geek out about it until sunrise.
I know, man, and it's all too perfectly set up. That's the only reason why I feel so strong about it, is because it's not like me connecting some dots that, like, how could you possibly think this and put it together? They have already laid the groundwork for this. And so, obviously it depends, but we'll see where it goes and everything. Let's see before that. So essentially if you're cool with it, I got 2 more topics, if you will, that I thought would be for us. Looks like really only one other thing that I would throw out here. That was our new member. I don't know how to feel weird calling it that. I don't know why I said member. Our new audience member. There we go. Stopping by. I feel like everyone likes the original trilogy. But I like episodes 1, 2, and 3, the prequels, just because all of the different Jedis and not just one main one.
Fair enough.
Totally.
A lot of variety there. I could totally see that. Yeah, I could totally see that.
You know why I heavily agree with this comment? Because of the fact that as much as I still stand by the original trilogy is my favorite trilogy, however, I don't know what it is with people where they're just like, I like Star Wars, but not everything has to be Sith and Jedi and Force and lightsabers. I mean, no, it doesn't, but why are you going to talk about it like there's something wrong with it? What is,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a bad thing now. The thing that you love is a bad thing. You didn't know that?
Well, yeah, it's weird. And people talk about it like we've been oversaturated, and I don't feel like we have, because this comment starts to point towards it. The original trilogy, you had Luke, you had Obi-Wan, Vader. Nobody else had a lightsaber. And no one else besides the Emperor and then Yoda were using the Force. Yeah. So it's really bizarre to feel like anybody has this thought of, enough with the Jedi and the Force. And on top of that, it's also funny because it's that's what makes Star Wars Star Wars. The reason why people appreciate the characters that are not Force users, that are not Jedi or Sith, is because the Jedi and Sith exist. You can appreciate how relatable and different these other characters are because they're in this universe with this other stuff. So anyway, that's my long kind of way of
I hear you. Yeah.
Wrapping it back around and saying dude, I'm right there with you. Attack of the Clones, the Battle of Geonosis is one of the dopest things to see all those Jedi go against all those separatist droids.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's I'm not familiar with it, but New Republic too. Now we're seeing Jedi in their prime. From what I hear, again, I haven't read the books, the comics too. I have to get into, but that's another example of Jedi. Why not? This is a big part of what we love about Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Jedi, the Force.
Well, and then that, since we got a chance to go through it, I will narrow it down. I had a couple things, but I will just go ahead and get these last few in here. All right, I'm really curious about this one. So I'm gonna start off. I guess I'll just throw it out there, but I have like a question to preface before I actually ask the question that's on here.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome. I mean, a lot of the things we've nerded out about already on this stream has hinted at that stuff. So that's sort of an easy one. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's room for it, right? I think the comic there were some comics, Star Wars Infinities or Star Wars Infinites or something it was called, and it was essentially Star Wars What If, and it was basically like what if Luke didn't get the shot on a Death Star, it didn't blow up. And oh my God, now here they come. That's a great story right there, right? And they did that for each. They made a little change in the comic, and we got a version of that for A New Hope. We got a version of that for Empire Strikes Back, and a version like that for Return of the Jedi. So yes,
Hell yeah.
I would like always What If would be awesome.
I love that was such an immediate drawn answer there, and I agree. I mean, we were starting to hint at this from earlier in the discussion. Yeah. A lot of things were starting to dive towards this, but that's why I was happy that I had this question there. I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. It fits right in." Yeah. I was going to ask also in accompanying this. Did you see Marvel's What If all the way through?
Yeah, I did, and I was happy with that. That was fine. I love that type of stuff. I mean, what would they be worried about? Are they worried about like people maybe getting confused? I mean, just slap a giant Legends label on there if you're going to make an animated series, and it's fine. I think people would enjoy it. I know I would enjoy that if they did it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think this is such a great like kind of window of opportunity. I'm not saying they have to do this. I get What If is very much kind of towards Marvel's thing, but like you're saying right there, if there's comics that already are kind of alluding to this, I think that if they did an animated series version of this, obviously I don't picture them doing live action with it, it would be just really, really, really cool. And possibly, we were talking about a way to maybe get some additional love for the sequels through some people. In this would this would win over myself if they did some What If versions of stories from the sequel trilogy. What if Rey did become a Sith? Right? Yeah. What if she was convinced by Kylo, and I know Kylo didn't even call himself a Sith, but nonetheless, what if like they were the new Emperor and Vader essentially of the galaxy?
There's a lot of fun to be had there. Yeah. A lot of the stuff people thought was going to happen. What if Rey was a Kenobi? Anything along those lines you could play with and have some fun with, especially for an episode or two in an animated form.
She should have been a Kenobi. This is the way I think it could have happened. So in Clone Wars, you know how Kenobi has like a fling with that one girl on the planet of Mandalore, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And now, don't get me wrong, Obi-Wan seemed like a very to the T Jedi, and I doubt he would have slipped up. However, he never seemed to be as swept off his feet as he was by this particular character. So I would not really be surprised if maybe they conceived a child, and whether it was the fact that Rey is the daughter or the daughter of their kid, so like the granddaughter of Kenobi. Yeah. I think that would have like actually been very plausible to do. And then also, just for the sake of throwing this out there, there's a lot of speculation and rumors that when Last Jedi came out, her haircut is extremely reminiscent of Qui-Gon Jinn's. So people were starting to say like, oh dude, maybe she's a descendant of Qui-Gon, which again, I would have been like more than fine with.
Yeah, I could see that too. As far as her being like, related ultimately to Palpatine, at least we got that in the lightsaber fight. She does a couple of poses and stuff. Like her fighting style is similar to Palpatine. We can now say that maybe that was passed down, but like, we all know that wasn't exactly the case. But it is what it is. We could work that in if we want to, right?
True. It's also arguable. Like, is she even really his granddaughter? Because it's not like it was his son; it was his clone's son, daughter. Yeah. That's what you know what I mean. So it's kind of almost weird to say. Yeah. Plus, I always wonder too. It's like, what happened with your why did your clone get fucked up? And if your clone wasn't powerful enough to be a good body for you to jump into if need be, why did you keep it? Why'd you let it live? That doesn't make any sense. Not just let it live, you let it get married and have a child.
We need Dave Filoni to come along with that TV series that we mentioned earlier, man, and fill in these gaps and make it good. Just make it work. Here, it's like a mess. Like, here you go. Clean this up. And
One of the only people that I think could, again, or I'm going to just divert right back to my theory from before. Don't even fuck with it. The sequels are the sequels. They have their own place, right? Well, let's just go now. Now we're in the Filoni-verse, right? Yeah. That's the Disney-verse, if you will, of Star Wars. I want to keep exploring the Filoni-verse that is being created and never have to worry about, oh no, when is Grogu going to get chopped down by Kylo? No, I don't even want that to be a thing. If Rey and Kylo still exist somewhere out in this universe, yeah, cool, whatever. But like, I want to see a completely different direction. I want to see Luke build up his Jedi order like he really should and everything, and not have to worry about some fucking teenager coming around one day and just wiping it all out. Because
just see them do their thing and be heroes. Yes. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, agree completely, man. We're a little out of practice with the and I'm just generally fucking rude.
No, what this is to me, you know what this is? It shows genuine excitement. I feel like.
That's more what it is. That's more what it is. On the topic of sequels, before I forget, Patrick had a question. He said, "Hey, ask or why don't you guys talk about how come Wedge only shows up in one sequel in one of the sequels?" And I think I agree, but I felt the same way about Lando. It would have been nice to see him in a few movies. So Wedge, I guess he's a favorite for Patrick.
Okay, well, hey, Wedge is always a really cool and underrated character because he was a really badass leader of the rebellion pilots. But one thing that I can probably give as an answer, I don't think it's anything story related. The actor who plays Wedge made it really clear, like when he got called in to do the cameo, he was like, "That's a waste of my fucking time."
Okay.
And as sad as it is, because you would hope that everybody would be like so down, but basically he was like, you want me to show up, like you want me to go all the way to this set just to show up and sit in a thing in a fucking green screen, say a couple lines that may or may not be in the movie. I'm glad they eventually did convince him to come by and do that. But seriously, he was pretty outwardly spoken that was his initial response.
Okay, fair enough. I can understand it. Yeah.
But with that being said, I agree even more so that like then you get to Lando, like all the original trilogy characters were so underused in the sequels. It's just like they literally were there just to be there, right? It was just like, here you go, you happy? We showed them.
What's the famous story about? Like they felt that they had to get Luke out of the story because whenever he was in the story and when they were writing drafts, all focus went on Luke, and all that tells me is that, well, maybe we should have held off on introducing new characters and maybe just knocked out at least, if not another trilogy with the original cast, at least one movie with just the original cast. Like that's what people maybe still wanted then, and then we could have segued. Instead, they tried to sort of do this, mashup. Whatever. I don't want to go into the whole sequel thing. It is what it is.
It is a dark hole. You know what it reminds me of?
Talking 20 movies in 20 years, everybody will love them. Who knows?
It's true. Yeah, you're gonna have the kids that are gonna grow up and they'll be like, they're the best Star Wars movies ever. But you know what it reminds me of? Talking about the sequels, like anytime it starts to like get towards the area we were just going to, that on oh my gosh, what's the planet Octu, or that Rey goes to visit Luke and trains with him and everything, and he mentions to her about like reach out and feel for the Force, and she feels that one dark like area where it's like a dark pit or something, and she like goes towards it, and he's like, you immediately went towards a dark pit, and in that dark pit is where she has like her weird vision about how her parents are supposedly nobody or whatever the case is, right?
They were nobody then.
Yeah, and it's like for some reason every time I feel like I start to talk about the sequels, I feel like I'm going down that dark pit of just like, get me out of here. Let's see. Oh, okay. Since it tied into what we were saying, I know this is Star Wars, but the end of What If confused me. Is What If its own Marvel universe, or is it completely theoretical? Ooh, I'll just say like real quick, I'll condense this kind of down for you. Basically, What If is canon, if that's like one of the initial questions. So it's just as much like a legit part of the storyline as is any of the live action stuff. The biggest thing is that What If is deep diving into the multiverse. So like every episode of What If, you're in a different universe. So they're very much like closed off, encapsulated stories. That I won't say how, but it's nice because they do all culminate together. Oh, well, it seems that never mind. You saw the end of it. So there you go. Yeah, that's all I was trying to say is like they're just separate universes, but it's basically like kind of like what, No Way Home is doing or Multiverse of Madness is doing and all this other stuff with Marvel right now. They're focusing heavy on just the fact that the multiverse is a big thing. I love that What If is canon, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if you're cool with it. Basically, just thought that maybe a nice way to kind of round this out for the evening here for our first Star Wars live discussion. Hope that it's the first of many. I'm not going to make any commitment with it. I just mean I hope we get a chance to do this plenty more times.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely.
Let's see. I'm going to throw up this here. Now, really, if you want, because I have two things. So like there was this, and then I also had like this one. So I guess in total, really, if you want to say like your thoughts on the first couple episodes, and then maybe where you are expecting or hoping it's going to go from there. But whatever.
Do we want to say spoilers? I mean, because I could go either. I could just not mention spoilers and just generally say like, like a love hate type thing. Or
you know what? I mean, don't be wrong. I do want to respect.
It's new that episode as of this right as of right now. Episode 2 it's new, right? So I don't want to.
No, 100%. But I will say this: for anyone that's watching, I hope that the reason why you're still sticking around is because, you've maybe already checked out a bunch of this stuff. So, I'll just take this as an opportunity. If you're still checking this out, whether it be live or later on, and you don't want to know anything about Book of Boba Fett quite yet, other than maybe what we said throughout the stream, this would probably be the time to go ahead and dip out and make sure to check us out after you have seen the show. But yeah, man, I would say go ahead since we've only got the 2 episodes to speak on.
All right. Yeah. Fire away. All right, cool. So the first episode I thought was kind of mediocre. Putting it nicely, unfortunately. I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't love it. And I felt like Mandalorian gave us this great hook at the end that like just pulled us in this episode. Not to say every single show I need a hook, I need a gimmick, or I'm not going to stick around. It's not like that. But my God, this show, that first episode, for me at least, it was just there. It just happened, and that was it. I gave it a rewatch though, and I did like it a little more on the second viewing for what it's worth. So that's a good sign. And then that second episode to me, and I don't know your thoughts on this yet, so we'll see if we agree or not. I have no idea. You could hate it. I don't know. And I know we talked about it a little, in the text. But I don't remember what you said about Boba Fett. So this is fun because it'll be a surprise for me. Whatever your thoughts are on it. But I thought the second episode, I got to watch it today. And I thought it pulled things up so much. I thought it pulled the show up and up. I don't want to say like that it was like in a trash or anything, but it definitely it was engaging. It moved the story along a lot. It ran maybe slightly long. There was like a whole lot of Tuscan dancing and stuff at the end. Like I guess we could. All I'm saying is it could have wrapped up a little sooner. But my God, it really moved the story along. I have an idea of the direction of the show right now. I think another problem, just to go back a little bit with episode 1, was I just feel like where we're being dumped into the story is we have a bounty hunter, and now he wants to be a crime boss, and we haven't had those dots connected yet, and it just feels a little weird. I'm guessing that's where these flashbacks are going. The flashbacks will wrap up, and we'll understand why he wants to become a crime boss, and I hope we get to understand how he just kind of waltzed into Jabba's palace, and Bib Fortuna had apparently no backup or anything. It just seemed kind of easy. I don't know. I just feel like in hindsight, there's a few problems with I feel like at the time we were like, oh my God, that's so badass. He just walked in and took over and sat on a throne. And then I'm like, maybe that should have been a little more of a fight.
Yeah, I think maybe because it was like an after credit stinger, they wanted to keep it minimal. But I agree. It's like, wait a second.
Now I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, I don't know. But maybe in a flashback, maybe some of that'll be fleshed out a bit more. Maybe we'll see him on his way into the palace, and he has a swarm of Gamorrean guards to fight off or something. And we connect the dots fully, so we understand why this guy wants to go from being a bounty hunter to a crime boss.
Yeah, and
the career change.
I think it's right. It's not exactly like, I went to school to be a chef. I'm going to be a carpenter. I think they're doing a good job of starting to flesh that mindset out in this most recent episode. So his whole dealings with the Tusken Raiders, and especially the end. So
Mhm.
there's other things about the episode I want to speak on, but when it
Mhm.
gets to that end part and they've officially stopped the train and they've got the Pikes that are all sitting there, and he basically, instead of just killing them all, gives them this opportunity of like, look, this is the way things are now.
Yeah.
Anytime you come through this desert, you're going to pay a fee to them because this is their land. And, and it's like, then the way he was like, your lives are a sign of our civility and stuff like that. I feel like that is such an early good sign of him and the way he would act as crime lord.
You're right. That's it. We're getting there already. So it is getting there. Yeah, we're hitting those notes right now. We're getting there. We're just tipping it, but that's fine. It's not going to be a jump or a leap or anything like that.
Right.
This
And but I agree with you that it's like we're like tiptoeing towards it, right? And then I think this is just the beginning. We're going to see more and more of like these maybe attributes that kind of are grown or shown more with him, to where like it's befitting, not just like, you know what, fuck job, I'm going to take over. No, it's like there is an actual purpose. Maybe it's because, like in the trailers, you hear him say, what is it? I want to rule not with fear, but with respect or something like that. And I think that this is something that falls in that category. He seems like
he doesn't want to torture either.
Yeah.
He's been tortured. He's seen torture, so yeah, there are certain things there. You're right. There are elements that are already put in place. And it's subtle enough that maybe you're missing it. Maybe I'm missing it too. So, yeah, you're right. They are building toward it. So they're off to a good start with for episode 2 more.
100%. Because the only thing about episode 1, I won't even say much about it other than like to see him get out of the Sarlacc pit officially was really cool. That's a storyline that's been tackled quite a few times between comics and other stuff. But to see again, like it officially go down, definitely was nice. Although I think it was cut a little short. I felt like it was a bit abrupt. Like he's in there, and all of a sudden it's like you have just enough time to realize where he is, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm out.
Well, he does a thing with fire or whatever, and then I feel like we cut to the aftermath, and he and he busts out, and it's like, okay. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess maybe there could have been a little bit more to that, and I don't think, and we're not going to revisit it anymore, but because I think they've covered that ground. Here's where he was. You were wondering about it. It was almost mandatory, right, to show that scene, and we'd probably imagined it in our heads. I think there's been some fan films that have recreated that and done a nice job. So I'm sort of probably be comparisons and stuff now even.
I bet you that was when they sat down, like thinking in the writer's room for that show. I bet the very first thing came up was like, all right, so let's go ahead and write the scene where he gets out of the Sarlacc pit. Like you know we're obligated to do it.
You have to. You really do. You really do.
But yeah, I was gonna throw into the mix real quick that I'm very happy to hear you enjoyed it as well, man, because I gotta say I'm definitely right there with you. Season 2, episode 2 really took it up a notch, but what it did such a good job of, in my opinion, is it was able to take it up a significant notch without making it like, look at all the action, look at all the spectacle, wow, explosions. Like, it doesn't need to be that. This has got to be probably like the closest and best representation of like a space western. You know what I mean? And it's tough because, or I should say, it would seem tough. I don't really like Western movies. I'm not a huge fan of that category too much. I'm sure there's plenty I haven't seen that would make me feel different, but all in all, it's just not my go-to choice. With that being said, this adds such a cool element to it, and all you need is that one little switch up. It's all like the same of what a Western movie is, but you got that, the element of aliens and bounty hunters and all that type of stuff, and it makes it so much different and really cool and enjoyable. The pacing, I do agree that I think they could have cut it down a little bit. There is one thing I'll mention, though. I think that where they're at, like on like the meter, if you will, of pacing, this is right where they should stick around at. Like, they should definitely keep the pacing relatively similar to this throughout all the further episodes. I mean, obviously you're going to have more impactful things going on that you got to balance out the intensity and the emotional moments, if you will, I guess, or anything, but is all together. I thought it was like a pretty good job of the pacing with it. I was really surprised because I happen to hear there's another channel that I like a lot. He's just called Star Wars Theory.
I know that channel, sure.
For sure. Yeah, huge channel. It's arguably like the biggest Star Wars YouTube channel that there is. And shout out to you, Star Wars Theory. And he was mentioning just earlier, I heard his opinion. He went as far as saying that this episode of Book of Boba Fett was his favorite thing of Star Wars, period, since Revenge of the Sith.
Wow, see that's awesome. I haven't been online today, so it's nice to hear that somebody's, and I'm assuming a lot of other people feel the same way about that. That's cool because I was seeing some hate on episode 1. Of course, whatever, to each his own. If you hate it, you hate it. If you love it, you love it. So, but yeah, so it's nice to hear that other people feel the same way or are enjoying it because come on, man, when we go into these series, we're not like, all right, I got some shit to hate. Like, no, we want to love this. We want to be able to follow it, right?
Exactly.
Enjoy it. Hopefully, there's going to be some hit and miss here and there. Fair enough, but overall, we want to be able to, get something out of it, and we want Star Wars, and we want to root for Star Wars, right?
No, 100%, man. And that's where, I was surprised because I got to say, like, I like a lot. I don't know if I like it that much. I mean, I can't say that it spikes up to that level of on the same par as Revenge of the Sith. But nonetheless, though, I very much highly value his opinion. And although I don't agree with him entirely, when I heard his reasoning why, I was like, well, you know what, man? Because I know Star Wars so well and everything, and I respect his opinion. I could easily appreciate at least where he's coming from. Because all he was really kind of saying was that it's just like the vibe, the feel, the tone of everything that this episode represented. He's like, it just felt so Star Wars. He's like, everything about this episode felt so Star Wars. And even though, again, I don't think it's like maybe the greatest episode of anything, because he was even saying it's better than like end of Mandalorian season 2, which is like, what the hell? Nonetheless, it's so nice though to hear that, like you said, it's nice to hear such a positive impression being left. And I do agree with at least his thought process, right? Not on that same level with me, but I agree that, like, damn, dude, everything about this episode felt so Star Wars. It gave me really heavy vibes of when the Mandalorian helped the Tusken Raiders take down the Krayt Dragon.
Yeah.
It felt very, it basically, and it's funny because even like the train is just like a mechanical Krayt Dragon. It doesn't go underground and stuff like that, but nonetheless, it had very heavy vibes of that episode, but almost to the point where, like, and this is not hating on the Krayt Dragon episode at all. I fucking love that episode, but this even more like got rooted into it because it's like, I don't know, they did such a good job of making you like give a shit about the Tusken Raiders.
And I have to say too, the sound of those drums, and you don't know what the hell it was. The sound of the drums, and we got more huts. Dude, that's fucking. I nerded out on that. I thought that was awesome. None of us had any idea. Well, maybe I don't know if there's people who are like on Reddit and getting spoiled or whatever. Maybe they knew. Fair enough. But that was a complete surprise to me, and it was a happy surprise. That was freaking awesome, and they looked good too. CGI was I was digging it. It was very dark. It was very ominous. It was very moody. There's some drums. They bring these two characters in. It's like a brother and sister, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, this is a fun time. We don't even know anything about these characters right now. I like fast forward, we're gonna know everything about these people. But like right now, it's
apparently the twins of or twin cousins of Jabba. That's all that
you know that much. Yeah. So that's some really good stuff, man. And we'll see where it goes. Hopefully, it all works out. But as of right now, that was the moment, man. I think that. I mean, I was already digging the episode. I was already feeling like, okay, we're stepping it up. We've stepped up. I'm already liking it. And then that hit, and I was just like, whoa. And they felt like a legit threat. They were interesting. And they pulled it off with the CGI. At least for me, I thought they pulled it off. I'm an old school fan, so obviously I love practical and stuff. But I thought they did a nice job with they look great.
They did, man. Like it was not. There's some things that I think everybody who has seen all the different Star Wars movies, you could agree that there's certain things where it's like graphics could be a little bit better there. The CGI maybe not exactly up to date, so to speak, of what we're used to seeing. But yeah, they were done phenomenally. And you felt like an intimidating presence. I did not expect that at all. Like, I'm very it's to say as far as like with theorizing things or making guesses, or there's a lot of I'm not gonna lie, I love to follow up on like potential leaks, because they're still just rumors, right? So it's just interesting to follow to see like what the reports are. And I'll tell you what, man, the reason I guess it makes it almost a little bit more exciting is because they have been super tight-lipped on Book of Boba Fett. There is like one leak that came out, and it already is not true or
Okay.
entirely accurate based on this episode that just came out. So
Okay.
like other than that, it seems like nobody knows what the hell's happening in the show, and I think that's a really good and cool thing because I think they got some interesting stuff planned up their sleeve. Yeah, so like as soon as they mentioned the twins, like the twins are here, and I kept thinking, I was like, who the fuck are the twins?
Yeah.
And it was like, who could it be? That was
Yeah.
so cool. And not just that, but someone that I had to look up a little bit more, but I knew them. I just didn't know, I couldn't remember. It was on the tip of my tongue. The Wookiee. Are you familiar with that Wookiee that showed up with them?
He looked familiar to me from a comic book, but I'm not sure. Is he from the? I feel like he was from a newer. I feel like he's from a newer series. I feel like I saw him not that long ago. Do you know who the Wookiee? Have you been able to look into this stuff?
Yeah, so first of all, you're spot on. He's like heavily out of everything. He's in the comics more than anything else. I don't know if he's been in another form of media for Star Wars other than the comics, but
Okay.
he's like a really badass bounty hunter. He's known as like the most dangerous Wookiee. His name is Black Crescenta.
Okay.
Which I always thought that was like, I don't know, an interesting name. Nonetheless, yeah, so Black Crescenta,
I feel like
bounty.
I remember him in a comic book fighting Obi-Wan, but I could be.
He did.
Is that
Yeah.
okay? So I'm on the same page. All right, cool.
fought
I didn't get a
in-
chance to nerd out and look into it, so I'm glad to hear you talking about it. I'm gonna stop cutting off and let you actually talk about it right now.
You're all good. You're good. Because yeah, not only did he fight Obi-Wan, like you're saying, dude, he's fought Vader and like a couple of other big names in the Star Wars universe where it's like he's no joke. Like, and so it's crazy because obviously this is setting up some epic showdown between him and Boba at some point. And it's nuts to think because as much as I love Boba and he is an absolute badass, there's no denying that it's a Wookiee, man, and he is just out. He's a powerhouse, and it's you got to be more strategic if you want to try and find a way to deal with him because that is not going to be easy. There's also, I thought this was really cool. We brought up Bosk earlier, right? So, and it's interesting because they show a lot of Trandoshan's in the second episode of Book of Boba Fett. So apparently, I didn't realize that there's like this big rivalry between Trandoshans and Wookiees, and so people are saying that Boba Fett's going to get the help of Bosk to fight Black Crescenta, which I think would be epic and dope.
I think what's another cool thing about this is, at least in live action, just one last thing because I guess we're getting ready to wrap up, but like Chewbacca has always been like I think everybody's favorite Wookiee, and he's probably the most well known Wookiee for Star Wars, but he's a lovable good guy, and now we're getting something familiar but different in a very cool way. I mean, that was like with Grogu, familiar but different in an interesting way. Good on them for coming up with this. So that's great. That's really cool.
No, 100%, man. I guess I'll ask just real quick because I feel like there could be potentially more, but just given the fact of where we're at, so we're just over like just shy of 2 hours and 10 minutes, I guess, coming up to there. Any final thoughts of yourself that you'd like to throw out just for the time being? I mean, I'll put this again, and I'll very quickly say it doesn't have to be looked at as like it's the last. It's not like, speak now or forever hold your peace. We'll just try our best to see when another thing like this could be planned out, and even if it's just another quick conversation, whatever the case is. But at least for the time being, anything, whether it's Book of Boba Fett, no matter whatever subject.
You mean like Star Wars related?
Yeah, like any last things to throw in the mix?
No, just that I've been pretty happy with what they've done so far with the TV shows, and this episode 2, as of right now, as of talking right now, I'm happy with where it's going, and I have some pretty high hopes for it. So yeah, I think at the moment they're in a good place, and I'm optimistic for the future with Star Wars. And this has been awesome and fun talking about this with you. It's been really cool, dude.
I second that like a tenfold. Yeah, it's an understatement. I just for everyone that's still listening, if you're listening up to this point, you'd probably be interested in maybe hearing something like this. I just thought it was really cool because we kind of were just like bouncing this off of each other about doing this for a while. Like Anthony was bringing up before, originally it was just going to be focused on the Bad Batch because that's when we first started talking about getting together for a conversation for it. But I'm glad that this there wasn't really a vast amount of planning. It was just like we just want to talk about Star Wars. That's it. Like, can we please just have a Star Wars discussion and not have to type out paragraphs upon paragraphs?
My thumbs hurt.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. Maybe I'll end off here. I'll keep it related to Book of Boba Fett. I'll end off with one question that is, if you could have a dream cameo in the show, who would it be?
God, well, there's one rumored cameo, isn't there? Have you been hearing about that one? I'm gonna say something. If it is, I guess it's not a spoiler because it doesn't happen. It's
No,
just a
because it's
rumor,
not.
right?
Yeah, we don't know if it's
It is.
confirmed.
If we get a young Han Solo, I think that could work because it seems fitting. These guys were enemies. It seems like there could be something there. So
Yes.
that would be my. But then Luke would be also cool too. I feel like there's something natural there. There's some unfinished business there as well. So yeah, I'm gonna revert back to my original trilogy, of course, as always. But then Omega would be nice too. I just want to throw something in it too. Like I would say Omega. So yeah, but Han Solo would be in the lead for me. We haven't
That's
seen yet. Yeah, we haven't seen him in this era. And I think that could be cool. What about you?
That is totally my choice too. Like if
Oh,
I
really?
had yeah, no, if I had to just narrow it down to one. And I guess the reason why is because when it comes to like Luke, Mandalorian, Grogu, I feel like those are almost guaranteed in everything but words. You know, I feel like those are kind of like a given. And I'm not gonna be like disappointed if they don't show up, but I just kind of feel like that is going to be something that they eventually wrap it back around to, whether it be from flashback stuff or the present day stuff. Mostly I think that it's going to end, as I brought up before. I think that the present day side of things is going to end with either the Mandalorian coming to Boba and requesting his assistance to take back Mandalore, which I think is the more believable. I actually don't picture Boba going out of his way to do that on his own. But I think that, again, the reason why he'll be convinced to do so isn't just strictly because he's on good terms with Din Djarin. I think it's also just because, like, you know what? This will, as I mentioned earlier, this will up my street cred.
Yeah.
But past that, yeah, Han Solo, that would be absolutely amazing. And you know, it's funny, man, because like if they're already going to go that far, then just because they kind of seem to come as a package all the time, then give me some Chewbacca too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, we got it with Luke, right? We got R2D2. So yeah, that makes sense. And that's one that's a little easier to do. You bring that's he's one of the easier original legacy characters to bring back is Chewbacca. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Although Peter Mayhew will always be my Chewbacca, but yeah, I hear.
Of course, yeah. I give the new kid a lot of credit.
He's doing great. He did great.
He got Peter Mayhew's blessing, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah,
he was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny how even just a walking big dog that just that you could still just be like, yeah, but that's not my Chewbacca.
Was hoping we could end this stream with you doing that, and you just granted my.
Really?
That's it. Cut it off and leave it there. Leave it there. It's perfect.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh. I feel bad saying
like that with a Chewbacca growl.
Well, I'm actually glad because there's sometimes I go to do it and it sounds like I'm just choking. So I'm glad I'm glad that came out like that. But yeah, all right, cool. I guess, trust me, this is, I know, probably a similar thing for both of us that it could go for a while. If I didn't see the time or didn't know how long we were on here, then I'd probably be like, dude, let's just keep going. Or I don't know. Next thing I'll be like, damn, it's light outside. But anyway, yeah, no, this is seriously a great time. I'm glad you feel the same way. Thank you for being on here with me, man.
Awesome. And, thank you, man. Thank you.
100%. And hey, you know what? If it's something where we do another one of these, but you'd rather have it on your channel, maybe switch up a different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Actually, sounds cool, man. Right.
Whatever the case may be, I am down for it. To everybody else that has been, if you've stuck around this whole time, if you had to dip out a little bit ago and then you're coming back to watch it later, or maybe you're just catching the entire thing after the fact, thank you so much for stopping by and checking this out. We really appreciate it. We hope that you got a good time out of this Star Wars conversation and found our opinions and thoughts to be interesting and worthwhile to listen to. If you haven't already, I will throw this up just one last time here of make sure, right? Go check out Anthony, Fever Dreamland Theater. I know this is something like a good way that we usually start to end stuff. Is there anything specific that's coming up over on your neck of the woods there that you'd like to promote?
At the moment, I'm working on a review for the original Fly movie and the remake of The Fly. So I'm hoping to have that out soon. And as always, I always have more Twilight Zones coming up. And there's a poll up on my site right now. You can vote for whichever episode you want me to review next.
Yeah, go over there and do that. I mean, the kid's got so many episodes to choose through. Help him out a little bit, right?
Yeah, no, I believe it. And I'm always happy to talk about Twilight Zone for anybody listening who happens to also be a Twilight Zone fan. Come on over and yeah, feel free to chat. I'm happy to do so.
I'll go as far as saying, even if you're not a Twilight Zone fan, go check it out. And I'm serious though, because like I feel like I've never had the amount of respect that I do for that show until I've started watching your videos.
Oh, okay, awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. Awesome, man.
It is, yeah. You deserve to hear it, my man. Well, all right. That's that. Thank you again so much, everybody. Appreciate you stopping by. Until the next time, may the force be with you.